Hello, fellow homebrewers. JP here, and I want to introduce to you the brand new Brew-Built X1 Conical Series available at More Beer. More Beer sells the highest standard in homebrewing equipment, and the Brew-Built Conicals are just that. They're made from mirror-polished 304 stainless steel, and they come with loads of features that you and I have been looking for. They have a full 2-inch bottom dump valve, which will eliminate your clogging issues, while the sturdy base includes 4 reinforced legs, just like those big Pro tanks do. More Beer also carries the Brew-Built line of options and add-ons like casters, pressure kits, and even external glycol chillers. So you can find out more about the new Brew-Built X1 Conical Unitanks by going over to morebeer.com for detailed videos on the entire line of Brew-Built Conicals. You can trust Brew-Built with your next fermentation, and you can trust More Beer to find the right conical for you. Brew-Built at morebeer.com.
Today's Sunday session is brought to you thanks to the fine folks at More Beer. Visit them right now at morebeer.com.
Great beer is about drinkability. Doesn't matter the style.
You guys are like walking beer Wikipedia. That's the first time that you've ever accepted me as a person.
Or you have a fermentation in your gut.
I'm jet propelled at all times.
How many guys do you think that you have the privilege to slap?
Somebody who's never tasted a commercial example, and this is how you know everything about this beer? Please, you don't.
I think that's bullshit.
I think it's bullshit, too.
Wow. Are you guys going to arm wrestle?
No.
We're going to teabag fight. Yeah. You heard of Junkyard Wars?
Can I get another high five, Beavis?
Now, live from the Brewing Network studios in Northern California, this is the radio program for home brewers, craft brewers, beer lovers, and beer geeks. It's your only source for live beer radio that brings expert brewers together with, well, expert drinkers. This is the radio program with a head on it. This is The Session.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
Here on the official Brewing Network Monday session.
That's right. It's the official. Where's the unofficial? That's my one.
It's out there.
Shit.
You can be sure. Great show planned for you tonight. We've got our old friends, beer that we really love. Gave them an award for it, in fact.
That's right.
Chuckanut Brewing Company is in the studio with us tonight. All the way from Bellingham, Washington. They came down to do the show live here at the Hop Grenade. And they brought us beer. So we get to drink some fresh Chuckanut pills once again. I assume that's in the lineup.
We do have pills. I'm trying to figure out how to get their beer on at this bar. It's not tonight, and I don't know that it will be in the near future because, well, they don't distribute anywhere.
Right.
But that is my goal. I want to serve Chuckanut at this damn bar.
That would be nice. They will have to go through that whole process. That's a thing. It's a whole thing.
It's a whole deal.
It's a whole deal now.
Yeah.
You got to get
Well, just half a
licenses
thing.
and yeah.
See, I want them to go through that whole thing, but then only sell to us.
I see.
You see?
That's an expensive endeavor.
I know. I'm working on it.
Yeah. Well, in the meantime, we get to enjoy their beer here on the program, and I'm excited about that. We're also going to be talking to another Bellingham brewery, Menace Brewing. We'll do a short interview with them. They've got an interesting nonprofit concept to talk about with us. Which,
what? But they're all nonprofit.
Yeah, they're all close. Yeah. But some of them have the license to be nonprofit, I think. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Menace has actually declared it.
Yeah. So, which is a smart move, really.
Yeah, really good. Way to go.
Yeah.
Get it off.
So I'm looking forward to that. We'll learn a little bit about how to make great lagers again. Will and Mari Kemper are the proprietors of Chuckanut Brewery. And if you remember from this program, we had them on last. We just absolutely love their Pilsner, and we got some good lager tips. And in fact, Will, since then, we'll hear all about it, has been traveling around learning more about lagers and helping other people brew as well. Some collaboration beers in there to talk about. So hopefully we can get some good tips about
the heat was great last time. Hopefully we'll get better tips.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but last time we had them on, we were in a very transitional phase. We had lost our studio in Pacheco, and we were waiting for our studio in Martinez. So we sat in my garage.
Oh yeah,
in my new house,
one of the garage shows.
And I'm pretty sure that during that time, my neighbor started mowing my lawn. And not only if you go back and listen, not only will you hear Will on the phone with us, you'll hear a lawnmower.
That's right,
and other yard tools. I think as we were trying to get into our new studio.
Last time we had beer on that show too, if you'll recall, and they were just in unlabeled brown bottles. This time we have real bottles because they now bottle.
Oh, great! And distribute up there then, in and around Bellingham. All right. Well, we'll be talking to them in just a little while, so stick with us on that. Let me get through some announcements. One of them, somewhat of a sad announcement, but maybe some of you can help, and that's why we're putting it in here. A Boise, Idaho brewer, Carrie Thomas, she's the brewmaster for Edge Brewing Company in Idaho, was badly burned in a boil-over at the brewery. As I read the story, she was up on the brew deck, and of course, as we all know, a boil can be rather volatile. And just like in home brewing, when you add hops or other things, it can then really explode.
Well, it really explodes out of that portal is what happens.
Yeah.
It's a small window.
So I guess that's what happened. She had dumped hops in, and then just seconds later, it really came bursting out of there.
I've seen 3 and 4 feet high waves of work.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm actually. Why don't we hear about this more often?
Well, we all have that, right? We got our home brewery.
People don't get
where
burned.
It'll come up real quick, right?
A lot of people are able to dodge it.
Yeah. But if you're up there, you can hear it coming. But
well, I guess what happened is that Carrie she had turned her back for a second, actually looking out for her assistant brewer.
Yeah.
I think trying to get her assistant brewer out of the way or making sure that the assistant brewer was okay, and as she turned her back is when it really came shooting out. This is as reported by the Idaho Statesman.
That's really too bad.
Is how I'm getting it. So she suffered second-degree burns all the way down one side of her body, from her shoulder all the way to her feet. Was taken to the hospital where she will remain for about a month, her husband said in the interview. She's doing okay. They're waiting to find out if which parts of her body might need surgery or in lieu of surgery, skin grafts. Again, all of this according to the Idaho Statesman. You can go look it up there and read more about it if you want. But what the Boise community is doing is throwing a fundraiser. I believe it's this weekend, as a matter of fact. The article here says that several local craft brewers have scheduled a Kegs for Carrie benefit Saturday at the Boise location of Pre-Funk, which is at 1100 West Front Street. They're doing it after 3 p.m. this Saturday. 100% of sales will go to the Thomas family. And there'll also be a raffle with items donated by different local area businesses. So if you're local to the Boise area and you're a fan of craft beer, this is a good cause. You can go help out the Carey family. And, so you never like to hear that.
No.
Be careful doing your first hop editions.
Yeah. I mean... I think Scott does make a good point. You don't hear about this stuff too often. It does show that I think most brewers do take, safety is a real concern. I'm sure that Carrie was, taking precautions as well, but sometimes things happen. It is Well,
I was on a brew deck one time and one jumped out. It was only like a couple feet high.
Okay.
But it was out of the kettle, and if it would have landed on my arm or leg, it definitely would have burned it.
Do you remember if that was because someone added hops?
No,
because I think
it was just coming up to temp, and I was guest brewing, and the brewer had gone away. You go do other stuff while you're brewing, right? And I probably shouldn't have been up there. Is what the thing was, right? It's okay if he's doing it by himself. Nobody's up there when he's not up there. So it happened while I was up on the deck.
Yeah.
It also said that Carrie jumped off the brew deck onto the ground when it happened, just to instinctually escape the wave, and it was a 6-foot drop. So I hope she didn't break her ankle or.
Yeah, well, they didn't report anything like that, but I mean that's what you do, right? You jump out of the way, you just react.
Yeah, and, get off there.
Well, I do wish her well, and I hope that they raise some cash to help her out, because that's always expensive as well. All right, a few more things let's make sure everybody knows about here. Locally, the Pleasant Hill Blues and Brews Festival is upon us. It's happening this Saturday. It's actually this Friday and Saturday, because there's on Friday night there's like a pre-concert, which is Friday, July 17th, I believe. Let me make sure I got two different dates here on my... July 17th. It's this Friday. They're doing a wine and music event there. And then on Saturday is the Blues and Brews Festival. And the Chris Kane Band, Frankie RPG and the Conviction, Spin Out, Karumpus Room, the Used Blues Band, lots of stuff, plus tons of local breweries. We've been there for a couple years now, and the Hop Grenade and the Brewing Network will also have a booth there this year, partying with you guys on Saturday. So if you're local, come on out to the Pleasant Hill Blues and Brews Festival. It's a good time. I've seen Tasty there before. I know you like to go out to that one.
Yeah. It just happens to fall on another date this year.
Okay. Yeah, always good music, and it's a real nice park. They put on a good event, so go check it out and do that. And then also, we're going up to the Mammoth Blues-a-Palooza, which is July 30th through the August 2nd. It'll be our first time there. But it's a benefit for the California Craft Brewers Association, Mammoth Hospital, and a number of other local Mammoth nonprofit organizations. It's their 20th Mammoth Festival of Beers and Blues-a-Palooza, and they've got tons of great music acts and beers. I know that this is a brewer favorite as well. I've been wanting to go to this for years, and it's because I've always heard brewers just talk about, first of all, Mammoth Lakes, where it's held, is just a beautiful location, and then it's just a really well-run event. So that's July 30th through August 2nd. It's at Sam's Wood Site in Mammoth Lakes, California, and you can still get tickets. And come hang out with us. Or if you've been before, come hang out with us and show us around. But it's you can go online to valleytix.com or just go to mammothbluesbrewsfest.com. mammothbluesbrewsfest.com. You can also call them 888-825-5484, and you can get tickets the old-fashioned way, by talking to a human.
Right. Huh? Delivery in 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah. That sounds awkward.
You mean a human outside the venue who's saying tickets?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, on the phone. Yeah. Lots of great acts, like I said, Trombone Shorty and Orleans Avenue, Robert Cray, Johnny Lang, Robin Ford. So, there's a whole list there. You can go check it out at mammothbluesbrewsfest.com. And then we're going to shoot some video from there, too, so we'll bring home the experience to you. We're going to do one of our BN On the Road episodes from Mammoth and take the bunker out there. It's a 6-hour drive.
The bunker. That'd be great. We could just go to Disneyland. I can't stress this enough. It's only 6 hours away, and we get better video.
I don't know. I think you were right up until it's only 6 hours away. After that, anyhow, so come check us out at the Mammoth.
It'll be fun. It sounds like a giant festival.
Yeah,
sounds giant.
It is. Yeah. And we're gonna have a good time. I'm sure of it.
I think we're gonna get a lot of trouble.
So we're also getting involved with a new thing. I think you may have heard a little bit about it on a show that we did recently that I wasn't here for. Maybe you haven't. Maybe it's been top secret. But now we're releasing the news. The Brewing Network is getting involved in what is called the Labruski Cruise.
Yeah, we talked about it a bit.
You did talk about it on the show?
Yeah.
So what is this deal that we're doing, Moscow?
Well, it's a full-blown cruise on Norwegian Cruise Lines, a full-size cruise ship leaving out of Miami. And that's going to be March 1 through 5 of 2016.
Okay.
And it's just going to be beer and music. Kyle Hollingsworth from the String Cheese Incident is, kind of heading this up.
Nice.
OAR will be there. Tons of other bands as well. And it's just beer centrism. There's going to be home brewing workshops, celebrity brewers workshop that Kyle's going to hold. We're going to do beer Olympics.
Wow.
So it's, the action really never stops. And then, of course, you're in the Bahamas. That's your backdrop.
So that's where it's going through, the Bahamas?
We should do lunch meat Olympics.
I'm into this. Yeah.
We should tell them how to do an Olympics.
I was thinking that.
Well, we are going to be there putting on our own activities as well.
Oh, awesome.
We're going to participate in the cruise in more ways than one. We're not just going to be on hand drinking, although that is what we'll be doing. But I do think we're going to be doing some shows from there, some of our videos. Maybe we can hold a lunch meat Olympics.
Water ski behind the boat.
Yeah, that's our first.
Oh, that's an amazing wake.
It is a nice wake. Yeah, at least tubing. I don't know, something.
Oh, okay.
We're going to have some fun with this, and they've been very cool to us and open to our ideas. So I think it's going to be a good time.
It will be. Yeah, the brewery list is getting finalized, but there's going to be some perennial favorites and some rare stuff on board. You go to labruskicruise.com, and there's a lot more details there. I don't think tickets are even on sale yet. They're about to be released, I believe, this week.
Okay,
but you can go check it out and start your planning.
Okay. And in the meantime, what we've done is arranged a giveaway with the Labruski Cruise people. So, beginning tonight, every winner of the Twitter game will be entered to win a ticket to the Labruski Cruise.
2, in fact. 2.
Okay.
Yep, a pair, a cabin on board that sleeps 2. So this is a 4-digit value for you.
Wow. So super cool. Starting tonight, when we get to our Twitter game, our winner tonight will be entered into the Labruski Cruise giveaway that's happening early 2016. So I'm excited about that.
That'll be a good time, man.
All right, don't forget that you can support us by doing your Amazon shopping. Just click the Amazon link on our homepage, and then a little portion of those proceeds go to us. Do we have a product of the week?
Yeah, we do. I'm sad to report it, but somebody bought a generic cute pet bow tie. Adjustable knot necktie clothing collar for dog and cat.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. They paid $2 for it, which is further bad news because I think we got about 4 cents.
That's 4 cents more than we had a minute ago.
That's true. They did pay more for shipping than they did for the product, which is always fun.
Mm-hmm.
But
they really wanted that bow tie.
They're not a Prime member.
Yes. There is a picture of a dog. In case your imagination doesn't picture it easily, you can go look at what your dog will look like in this really cool bow tie.
Yeah.
And, someone bought that.
Hey, I love it. Keep clicking that link.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We do.
All right, subscribe and join the BN Army just by hitting the donate button. Recurring donors get access to all sorts of cool stuff, including early notice to different things that we do and our monthly newsletter. Get all these ideas, facts, fiction, and more over on Twitter and that place.
Oh, God, I fucked up.
All right, send your show ideas over to Scott the Jew. That's Scott at thebrewingnetwork.com. And send feedback at thebrewingnetwork.com. What is our Twitter? Wait, do we have a Twitter game?
Yes, we do, Justin.
Of course we do. It's part of our Labruski Cruise giveaway. It's also brought to you by our good friends over at craftbeer.com, bringing the best in craft beer home to you. Craftbeer.com. What do we got?
Well, before the show started, we were kind of talking about different beers that we didn't like and what kind of turned us on to craft beer and whatever. And you had shared your information that the worst night that you ever had drinking entailed an entire keg of Brother Thelonious. Not necessarily that you drank the whole thing, but you drank the whole night.
You're only paraphrasing a little too much. Let me just clarify.
Please do. Because
it was the last time. What I said was, because in defense of Brother Thelonious, it was the last time I have puked on drinking too much beer.
Okay.
Because I don't really drink to that, I mean, I drink a lot, but
sure.
I can hold it together.
Yeah, but 100% alcohol.
But the Brother Thelonious are rather strong beer, and then I drank way too much of it, and then I threw up.
Sure.
So that's what I said. And so now, Jägermeister and Brother Thelonious, I have to avoid them both.
You should.
That's all.
Is your list growing?
Yeah. Well, this was a long time ago, so.
Yeah, and kids and dirty handles. Anyway, so I was kind of interested to find out what everybody else had, their worst night of drinking. That's what I paraphrased that down to.
Okay.
So I want to know what your worst night of drinking entails.
Okay, in 140 characters or less.
Yes.
I love it. All right, that's our Twitter game brought to you by craftbeer.com. Remember, you're also entered into the Labruski Cruise giveaway if you win tonight, so dig out those good stories, those embarrassing stories.
Yeah.
All right, shall we do some feedback?
Let's do it.
Sure.
All right, I got a little story leading up to feedback, though. But feedback is brought to you today by our friend John over at Beer Law Center. You can go to beerlawcenter.com, and he can protect your trademark like he protects ours, which is the story that I have for you tonight. But also, he does other things as well. If you're in North Carolina and you're a brewery, he'll do cradle to the grave law for you, help you start up, do all sorts of filing for you. In other states, he'll do your TTB filing as well as your trademark filing. So go check him out at beerlawcenter.com, and I'll give you a good example of why you should. So, there's always these trademark battles going on behind the scenes here at the Brewing Network. I know you think I talk about them a lot on the program, but they happen about 10 times as much as you actually hear me talk about. And usually that's because I don't want to bore you with the details, and also because sometimes we're in legal negotiations, and I'd rather just keep it quiet.
Yeah.
Well, we just finished another one, and I felt the need to make it public because I felt there was a little bit of douchebaggery in there. It's now settled, and of course, we won because we own the goddamn thing.
Right.
It's pretty black and white. We own the Hop Grenade trademark. But it does get a little tricky internationally, and that's what's happened here. And just to fast forward quickly, John over at Beer Law Center took care of things so professionally and with me, nearly daily and back and forth. I was involved in all of the communications because he knows it's important to me how we come across to other craft brewers and things like that. So he's very sensitive to that and did a great job. And as I expected, came back to me last week with the exact result that we wanted, which was that the other company backed out of their ploy to use the Hop Grenade here in the United States.
Their scheme, if you will.
So this German brewery called Crew Republic, which I've known about for, 2 or 3 years, they use a Hop Grenade on their label. And the issue is that I don't have an international trademark. And the reason was when we trademarked the Hop Grenade back in 2006, I put it on a credit card, which was already maxed out with all of our other business expenses. So doing some sort of international trademark was just way out of the scope of things. Yeah. Later on, when we had a little more money, I was still advised that being able to defend a trademark internationally could bankrupt me. It could really cost me a fortune, just always looking out for it. So it's not just the application of it, but then you always have to. So I just never worried about it, And when this brewery came along in Munich, I just, what are you going to do? I didn't worry about it there either. Well, what they did was they filed for a trademark of the Hop Grenade here in the United States. Attempting to
after being contacted by you previously.
No, I had never contacted them. I left it all alone. But you can be certain they knew about me. If you, I've talked about this before. If you Google Hop Grenade, even on Google.de, the German Google, the first couple pages are all us. I mean, there is no ifs, ands, or buts that a Hop Grenade existed. So, but of course, that's not what most people say once I contact them. But here's what happened. They actually filed for a Hop Grenade trademark here in the U.S. I was notified about it because we have people everywhere. And then John over at Beer Law Center posted our opposition of the trademark. That's about the time that I was contacted by Crew Republic saying, oh, hey, we didn't know you existed, and congratulations on having such a great idea, even before us. Isn't the Hop Grenade great? And anyhow, they essentially, they were polite enough. I don't think they were very honest, but I think they were nice enough. And they just said, we didn't know about you, and maybe we can work together in the craft beer spirit. They evoked that language, which is always
because when
a double-edged sword.
Well, when you think about getting along, you always think the first thing is Germans. They get along well with everybody.
So in the craft beer spirit, they essentially said, hey, we are filing for, or have already filed for, a Hop Grenade trademark in the rest of the world. So how about you let us use it in the U.S., and we'll let you use it in the rest of the world.
Oh, a trade.
Not the worst offer I've ever been presented, but I had to think long and hard about it. Obviously, as the Brewing Network grows, we never know which direction it's going to take us, and I had to think about whether or not we want our brand international. Mm-hmm. But in the end, what it came down to is, in the craft beer spirit, I felt that even them using it internationally was kind of a violation. And while I don't have any legal claim to it there, I thought it was a douchey move. And it's not even a primary part of their logo. They have about 10 other logos. Mm-hmm. One of them is an anchor, by the way.
Oh, well, that makes a lot of sense.
It still seems like a strong arm, push you into the corner kind of thing.
Yeah, so it got worse with that, basically. And that's exactly what they were doing. So after consulting some of our colleagues, our friends, my lawyer, John, we just kind of decided, look, we've been defending this thing for so long. We're going to put a beer on the market. Here's a special announcement. We're going to brew a Hop Grenade IPA over at Heretic.
All right.
And that is the start of us actually maybe deciding if the Brewing Network wants to become a brewery, too. But we're going to dabble first, and that's always been part of the plan to open a brewery.
Now, you didn't mention that you already had some paperwork, did trademark.
I have a reservation.
A reservation, you call it.
In the beer, because you have to have every class. And I've always known we're going to open a brewery. I'll just be honest with you. I've always known we're going to open a brewery. I just don't know when. So we reserved it quite some time ago.
Gotcha.
And now we're going to put a beer on the market, and then they'll actually give us our official one. But that's still, it's a placeholder, so no one could have taken it anyway. Unless they could prove that we were never going to open a brewery, which is impossible to do.
Right.
So in the process, I just thought, and the advice that we got was you can't let another brewery come in and put another Hop Grenade on the shelf. It just here in the U.S. just doesn't make sense. And that even though someday maybe we might sell beer or want to open a Hop Grenade in Paris or Germany or wherever, the someday maybe isn't enough to give up the United States as a market.
You'd have to have a lot of extra beer for that to be your primary market.
And I kind of figure, like, if I have that much extra beer by then, we can probably afford a legal battle as well. Whereas right now we can't to do that. So I just figured we're just going to shelf this whole international thing. I'm going to reject this proposal and, sorry. So then their lawyer sends a threatening letter, even using my own words, because I had admitted, hey, my Hop Grenade is already international. Every country I go to, I see it. We have listeners right there in Munich.
It's probably where you saw it. You probably saw it.
Yeah, you probably saw it. Yeah.
It's where you stole it, isn't it?
Well, so their lawyer took that to mean that I'm doing international commerce with the hop grenade and essentially threatening to shut me down now.
Oh, great.
At which time we explained to him politely, after a couple revisions of the letter, that we're not doing international commerce at all, and you can't stop people from wearing my T-shirt. We do all of our business is done in the United States. We have listeners elsewhere. You can't stop people from downloading a podcast. You can't stop them from buying or wearing a T-shirt. I mean, any of these things. So, this is a ridiculous threat, and our position stands. You cannot use the hop grenade here in the U.S. And 24 hours later, they sent back their... they had forfeited their application for a hop grenade here in the U.S.
Great.
So they knew that I had all of the legs to stand on in the beginning. All of them. Yeah. All 2 of them.
Okay, great.
And then they just were trying to strong-arm me a little bit.
So once again, Americans, beat back the Germans! Beat back the Germans! Once again! Right. Can't do it enough.
So I can't go open a hop grenade in Munich right now as things stand, but, I just think it was the right move. But the reason I'm sort of making it public is, for one, to let you know how great John is and how he's always protecting this logo. Yeah. And 2, because I think that they should now forfeit the hop grenade altogether. I don't think they should use it internationally. It is not a main part of their logo. It's a little tiny piece of it. They have another logo that is for their brewery. And I think if they really wanted to talk about the craft beer spirit, they should recognize that they either are lying to me that they didn't know about me, or they failed to do due diligence, even on Google.de, and realize that there was already another hop grenade in the marketplace several years before they opened. And I think the right thing to do would be for them to forfeit the trademark of the mark. But I don't think they're going to do that, and I think that makes them not very cool in my book.
What would you have done? We should launch a blogging attack or something.
What would you
I know
have done?
some barracudas that can write that shit.
A blattack?
Yes.
A blat.
What would you have done if they would have taken it one more time, one more notch up?
It would depend.
Tasties?
Please, you have to talk to his lawyer.
Gonna have to blow. No, I got to bury them.
To really take them down.
Yeah, we know some people over there. By the way, what do German hop grenades look like? I had this World War II version of it in my mind. That's not it.
Yeah.
So,
No.
It's like a tuna can with a handle.
It looks, it's not identical to ours, but it doesn't matter. Every hop grenade is ours.
It's even an American-style hop grenade, it sounds like.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Even the grenades of the future?
Yeah. So I don't know. You tell me. This is a brewery called Crew Republic. They're using our logo internationally.
Is it Crew with a K? It has to be, right?
No.
Really?
No, it's CREW. And
does the hop grenade have one of those little wooden sticks on the bottom? Like the German hand grenades?
I think if they really want to evoke the craft beer spirit, they should stop using it.
Are you going to send that letter back to them?
Which letter?
The letter saying, hey, if you guys are really serious about invoking the craft
I did.
beer... Okay, all right.
I did in my final response to them, where I said, not only am I going to stand with my position to not let you do this, but I will because I had stated it previously, I will restate my position that I don't approve of you using it anywhere on Earth, and I think you should stop using it. But they never responded to that. That's when they just had... Because I always try to do... we did this interpersonally first, and then the lawyers just had to take care of it, because... That's how it goes. They never responded to me again about that. So, there you have it. Funny side note, Daniela, last time she visited, had brought me some beer from Germany. And this is about a year ago or something. And she hands me the beer. And it's this fucking Crew Republic beer.
Did you throw it back?
and I look at her and I'm like, are you serious? Are you being serious with me right now? And she had no idea what I was talking about. Yeah. I said, look at this goddamn bottle. And finally, she just thought she was grabbing some German craft beer.
She didn't know it had an option.
She didn't see it. And then she instantly then saw it and was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. And I said, yeah, well, I've known about these guys.
I don't know, that sounds very passive aggressive. Let's get her on Skype.
She was fucking with you. Yeah.
So anyhow, once again, the outcome was very favorable for my hop grenade, and I wanted to personally thank John over at Beer Law Center for that. I really do sleep a little better at night because that dude's helping us out. I lose sleep over this stuff all the time. So.
And we get an IPA, too.
and we get an IPA out of it.
Yeah,
so I want
to thank you very much for an IPA. Not a session IPA or a low-alcohol beer, but, an IPA. We can't get enough of them.
We're going straight for Hop Grenade IPA. I think it's the right move. We're going to brew it at Heretic Brewing Company next month, it looks like. And so coming to a Hop Grenade taproom and bottle shop near you, and probably several other Bay Area locations, as well as at least least one other state in the U.S., and I don't know which one yet, we're going to send some beer out, some Hop Grenade IPA. So.
Talk to your distributors.
Yeah. Exciting stuff. We'll start promoting to you here a little more and let you know the whole rundown of our first ever Hop Grenade beer. I'm excited about that part. All right, let's do some feedback. Eric writes in here, Dear Brewcasters, you will be happy to know that I've decided to hire John from the Beer Law Center to sue the Brewing Network.
Wait a minute.
Wait.
I can't stand by any longer and listen to you slam a great American brewery like Pabst Brewing Company. Unless I missed a follow-up story, which I'm sure I didn't since Moscow's reporting is neither fair nor balanced, you should report that Pabst is, in fact, an American-owned company. A little research will prove this fact. Eric from Central PA. So, Eric, as far as I know, and I looked it up again today, Oasis Holdings out of Moscow, Russia, or the Soviet Union, whatever, bought Pabst Brewing.
Yes. A year ago, at least.
The only differing information I could find was on Wikipedia. But the other information...
Eric edited it yesterday.
But the other information came from CNN Money, slightly more credible news outlet than Wikipedia. So
I disagree.
While I could be wrong if there's been something different since Moscow reported on this,
no.
As far as I know, Pabst was bought by Oasis Holdings in the Soviet Union.
Owned by a Russian.
And Eric, why didn't you send information if you think that's true and you can easily prove it? Instead of saying research it, how about you send a link, you dumbass?
Tell us who owns it.
No reporting is fair and balanced, so suck on that.
He says, P.S. Brewcaster Challenge. When is it coming back?
Never, because you want it.
That's a great question.
Oh, nobody won it.
They're doing it in Russia, though, I hear.
We sold the Brewcaster Challenge to Russia, as a matter of fact. All right, Mark writes in, Kia ora, bros. I don't know what that means.
I don't know either. What?
I'm having a slow day at work here in New Zealand, and so the mind had strolled off down a path of useless pondering, leading me to two questions while I stare at a paddock of sheep and worry that they are smarter than my daughter. I like the picture that he paints.
Yeah.
Number one, why is our great hobby called home brewing? Because a commercial practice is replicated at home? Thus forced, when I cook dinner for those bulging black holes of fun and life called children, am I home chefing?
No, you're home cooking, and that is a phrase.
It's a thing, home cooking. But we don't always say that. Like we don't know. But I guess sometimes we just say we're brewing, too. Sometimes we say we're cooking. Sometimes we say we're home cooking. Sometimes we say we're home brewing. Sometimes we say we're brewing.
Yeah.
So I'm brewing today. I never say I'm home brewing today. I always say I'm brewing today. But they did the title of the hobby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say both, but I would use them interchangeably.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Good question. Whatever. And then number two, since I work in the wine industry, I have access to some barrels for nothing. But the only ones that I get are infected with Brett. Can I smash these bastards with the axe into pieces small enough to fit in the carboy and inoculate a historic porter in this manner? And on and on and on. So I would say yes, right?
Sure. Yes.
Yep. Do whatever you want.
Yep. No, it works.
And yes, if there are, in fact, little Brett bugs on there, you'll get them into your beer. So do it. Let's see. I'm skip that one. Kevin writes in.
Can't skip anything.
Just got word that my Belgian Golden Strong Ale made it to the finals of the long shot competition.
Nice work.
So I'll be seeing you guys at the Great American Beer Festival this year on Mr. Cook's dime. I just wanted to give a shout out to the BN. My beers have improved drastically since I started listening in 2012. Thanks for doing what you do, from Kevin. You're welcome. A concerned listener writes in, God damn it.
He sounds concerned.
What's going on at the Hop Grenade? The Brewing Network used to be full of homebrew info. Here we go with this one. Since moving to the Grenade, all you do is interview breweries that go on and on about nothing. I find myself skipping ahead so I don't fall asleep. Then comes the meltdown when brewcasters and guests spend forever talking at the same time. Bring back the BN, damn it. I do agree with the meltdown portion, and I'm still annoyed with it just as much as you are, concerned listener. And the other part, I don't know, fuck off.
Haven't we been getting this email
once a quarter?
All the years we've been on the air, right?
Yes.
Or at least that I've been here.
Yeah. Adam writes in. He's actually a Doe's Club member, the local homebrew club here. He says, Justin, you could create some separation between the Brewing Network Company from Homebrew Club by changing the name of the club to BN Army. While most avid homebrewers will still know that the club is based on the constituency of the Brewing Network listeners, I believe it creates some separation from the company and better describes the club's participants. I enjoy and value the content the Brewing Network produces. Keep up the good work. Cheers from Adam from Doze. Yeah, that's been brought up a few times too. You know, it'll help a tiny bit. It doesn't really get rid of the other issues surrounding the BN Club winning Club of the Year. But thanks for writing in. I appreciate that. In fact, I've gotten a few emails from Doze members over the issue. They've all been very kind and very supportive. And as always, I really appreciate our local club, Tasty and Doc's Club, as a matter of fact. Really classy bunch of guys in that group. And I've gotten some very nice supporting emails over the last couple of weeks from them. All right. Ni hao, brew jesters.
Ching ching.
As an Englishman living in China, I wanted to thank you guys for all the excellent content that's helped me with my brewing. I've only been brewing for about a year, but last month I won first prize for the Pale Amber category of the second national homebrew competition in China.
The Pale Amber.
You know the Pale Amber
Second
category?
Yeah.
I fucking entered that shit. I totally got beat out by this asshole.
By this guy.
Pale Ambers. I love them. They're my favorite.
If it wasn't for the fact I wanted to try and raise the profile of my region's homebrew scene, I would have entered with the Brewing Network as my club. Feel free to claim this win as your own, though. You deserve it. Sadly, your podcasts are quite difficult to obtain here. I have referred your podcast to a few friends, and they've all had the same issues getting it past the you-know-what.
The firewall.
And then they've been taken away.
Yeah.
Great.
Which is funny. I wonder if he
Firewall
sent that
of China.
email because he can't even say there's a firewall in China because it's not getting sent, or I don't know. But, yeah.
Yeah, keywords might prevent the email from reaching the inbox.
That's it. Don't say that.
The Pale Ambers?
Yeah.
That's like having the light dark category.
Yeah, or a black IPA.
I love light darks.
Yeah.
They probably had one pale entry, one amber entry, so they combined it into one category.
I want to set up a firewall to prevent emails that say Pale Amber being sent, because that's retarded.
All right, Marshall writes in. It's a rather long one about the Club of the Year thing, but he gives a suggestion, so I'll just sort of get to that part, if that's all right.
Yeah.
He talks about all. He says, let's see.
He writes a lot. Marshall's great, though. He's a big BN guy, big supporter.
Yeah, big supporter of the BN. He's basically talking about all the suggestions that we've discussed here and the different options that I've mentioned on the air that could change things. But he also then notes that I had mentioned what people really need to do is contact the AHA about any rule changes they want to see, not the Brewing Network. So he says, while I personally couldn't care less about who wins Club of the Year, it would seem to me to be a far more poignant to the winning club if others couldn't argue that the only reason the BN won is because of numbers. I absolutely agree people should be contacting the AHA to suggest changes, not bitching about it to you guys. But personally, I think if it would be rad if the Brewing Network club members were the ones to push for the changes to equalize the chances of winning. This would be the ultimate middle finger to the brewers out there, much more so than dropping out of competitions or regionalizing membership. Anyway, the BN kicks ass. The BN club members have nothing to be ashamed of. I'll be listening to the session on my drive home today. And sorry for the novella. Yeah, no problem. Marshall from brewlosophy.com is his website.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the club decides that they have specific changes that they would like to see and wants to contact the AHA. I, of course, would have no problem with that. I see your point. It would mean a lot coming from us. But I don't know that our club members... they're not even supporting the changes I'm suggesting that might be possible, so I don't know that they would have many changes to write to the AHA about. But your point is well taken. All right, Kelly writes in, I didn't think that Drunk of the Week could get any worse, but it did. Fucking awesome, he says. Listening to those voicemails ranked right up there with shoving a carrot peeler in your ear. I can't understand. Does he like it or not like it?
That's fucking awesome.
I think he's asking himself the same question.
That carrot peeler thing.
There's only one way to find out. Listen to the Drunk of the Week calls from last show and then shove a carrot peeler in your ear.
Let's see which is worse.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know what he actually likes.
Or how many years he has
or how many carrot peelers.
Tasty, here's one you can probably help with. Chris in Ohio writes in, Hi, asshats. I really enjoy everything you all do. I'm stewarding my first BJCP event this weekend and was wondering how I can make the most of the experience. I don't want to seem like a giant douche. Oh, and tell JP to suck it, he says.
I don't want to.
What do you think? Any stewardship advice for his first experience?
Well, as a steward, you're responsible for, a few basic things. Making sure, the judges have, water and breads and stuff like that. They'll teach you, they'll they'll show you all that when you get there and start out.
Yep.
The head steward will show you all that.
Taking care of the judges.
Yeah.
And then what about for his own sort of benefit? Things he should be looking out for?
Well, you should, if you get a chance, ask the judges if you can have a taste of the better beers, or even the beers that have a beer flaw. You can learn from them, and they're usually more than glad if everything's organized and they're on time to tell you what they're getting in the beer. You can kind of judge right along with them.
Okay.
That's great.
All right. Good advice. And then finally, our spam of the week. Hello, my name is Olga.
Hi, Olga.
I live in Moscow.
I thought something felt funny.
I found out your page on the internet, and I was curious about you. Tell me, please, what are you doing now, and how do you spend your life in general? Well, right now, I've got one hand on my hip, and it's kind of near my... I'm scratching.
Yeah, it's more upper thigh.
Yeah. And then I'm speaking to you about your email. How do you spend your life in general?
Yeah, just in general. Give her a brief rundown.
I can't even answer that. I have no idea.
No.
Fighting copyright infringement.
I guess so, yeah.
It's really a profound question if you think about it.
It is.
You're having to reflect right now.
Well, Scott, she's trying to get to know you. I mean, she's not just, it's not small talk. This is fucking real love.
Yeah.
This is real shit. She saw our profile and fucking loved us.
That's right. So, she goes on to say, in fact, you're interesting to me as a personality.
See?
And I want to communicate with you in the future. Now, she sounds sincere, and she says, please answer me. I'm waiting.
Is it in all caps?
No, that's the tone I get from it.
She's a girl.
It's a typical tone for that.
Yeah.
I
told you all my feelings already. Why don't you love me?
Please answer me.
Can I get you a beer? I'm going to go to bed.
I'm waiting.
So we're certain this is spam, though?
Yeah.
No, we never are.
Never are. I think we should respond.
We answer everyone. They never answer back.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's spam until you download the attachment.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Well, listen, Olga, I'm all about it. So,
and I'm all about you.
I'm all about you, and I think that your personality is really interesting as well.
Yeah.
And so, I would like to communicate with you in the future. Please answer me. I'm waiting.
Right.
There you go.
Where's that sandwich?
Press send.
And where's my sandwich? All right, feedback brought to you today by Beer Law Center. Go to beerlawcenter.com and check it out. Chuckanut Brewing Company is with us tonight on the program. We're going to get him in here in the studio after a commercial break.
I just heard some cheering from the peanut gallery out
They got
there.
fans,
They're
man.
stoked on Chuckanut.
They got fans.
Good stuff.
All right, hang in there. It's The Session. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
You're listening to the Brewcasters. On the Brewing Network.
The Siebel Institute of Technology Continuing Education Campus is proud to present their Advanced Homebrewing course. It's the first ever advanced one-week course designed specifically for homebrewers. The Advanced Homebrewing course takes hobby brewers beyond beer kits and extract brewing into the realm of advanced brewing techniques. It's 5 full days of world-class brewing instruction at Siebel Institute, America's brewing school in Chicago. Information-packed, fun, and the perfect course for taking your brewing skills to the next level. You'll be surrounded by the Midwest's most vibrant brewing community. Get more information at SiebelInstitute.com. SIEBEL Institute.com. With instruction from Ray Daniels of the Cicerone program, Chris Graham from More Beer, brewing author and historian Randy Mosher, and Dr. Chris White from White Labs Yeast. The Siebel Institute Advanced Homebrewing course. Learn more at SiebelInstitute.com.
Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making.
The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
Do you like beer? They make beer.
Watch out!
Do you like friends and fun? They make friends and fun.
Watch out!
Do you still like to have a good time? The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
The 21st Amendment in San Francisco, located at 563 2nd Street, 2 blocks from the building where baseball is seen and played. Try their beers in the pub or try them in the can, featuring
Monk's Blood.
Made with real monk.
Watch out!
So why not have the best time of your life? Go to the 21A and Sean O'Sullivan will personally greet you with a can of
Monk's Blood. The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
This advertisement is not in any way affiliated nor associated with the 21st Amendment Bar and Pub, nor its subsidiaries or affiliates. This telecast is not copywritten by the 21st Amendment for the private use of the Brewing Network. Any use of this telecast without Jamil Zainashev's consent is prohibited. Suck it, JP.
Your support of the Brewing Network means everything to us. We couldn't produce shows without you. And we love giving you something extra for that support, like Brew Your Own magazine. You already know it's a great brewing magazine full of recipes, equipment how-tos, discussions of beer styles, and brewing techniques. Whether you're new to brewing and just starting out or you're an old pro, you'll always learn something from the articles in Brew Your Own. Plus, there are amazing special issues like plans for building a Brutus 10 system, 250 classic clone recipes, and the Homebrewer's Answer Book. Brew Your Own magazine and BYO.com are awesome resources for any brewer, whether for yourself or as a gift. When you subscribe or resubscribe from the Brewing Network homepage, you directly support programs like this. Get a great magazine and support the Brewing Network. Subscribe to Brew Your Own right from thebrewingnetwork.com.
What could be better than great blues music and great beer?
Yeah, rock your summer right at the 6th Annual Pleasant Hill Blues and Brews Festival, Saturday, July 18th.
Come enjoy tasty beer, delicious food, and free live music.
The Chris Kane Band, Frankie G and the Conviction, Spin Out, Carumpus Room, and the Used Blues Band.
Unlimited beer tasting and VIP access available at beautiful Pleasant Hill Park. More than 25 of the best and some of the newest Bay Area breweries will be on hand, like
Sierra Nevada, Speakeasy, Mendocino Brewing, Drake's, Ale Industries, Rocksteady, and more.
Get your tickets right now for the Blues and Brews Festival at bluesandbrewsfestival.com. And Friday night will be a pre-party concert from 6 to 9 p.m.
Come enjoy the music of the Big Jangle.
Don't miss the Pleasant Hill Blues and Brews Festival for great blues and great brews. Get your tickets today.
Brewcasters are back.
888-401-BEER.
Whatever.
Hey, all right, welcome back to the program. Thanks for hanging out with us. Those of you here at the Hop Grenade, thanks for coming in to see us as well. I always love a good live studio audience. We've got some young professionals hanging out in the studio with us today, so that's fun. Some good beer drinking going on out there. Yes. Hey, real quick before we move on, because we got a lot to do, I wanted to remind you about the new book from Brewers Publications, Modern Homebrew Recipes, which, of course, is written by our good friend Gordon Strong. So what a great book, Modern Homebrew Recipes. You can go over to brewerspublications.com and check it out now. It's exploring styles and contemporary techniques. It's about the innovation, discovery, and interpretation of beer. And homebrewing's all about that and more. So Grandmaster Beer Judge, I believe he's the most recognized BJCP judge there is. Gordon Strong takes you on a guided journey of brewing discovery that includes information about some of the latest BJCP style changes. It's got over 100 distinctive recipes. So I know Brewing Classic Styles was a big fan favorite, and I'm pretty sure that homebrew recipes, modern homebrew recipes, will be too. So go check it out over on Brewers Publications, and there's a video over there too you can watch about the book and learn more about it. So check it out. All right, I am excited about our next guest here on the program, Chuckanut Brewery. We've got Will and Mari Kemper in the studio with us. Thanks for being here, two of you.
Thanks for having us.
All the way down from Bellingham, Washington.
All the way.
You came down just to see us. That's amazing.
Yes, absolutely, yeah, and we're heading right back afterwards.
All right, you guys headed out tonight?
Yeah.
No, not till tomorrow.
In about 4 minutes.
Yeah, you've got 4 more minutes. Make it fat. What do you want to know about Pilsner? Quick.
You should do them, and then there you go.
It's nice to meet you, too, and have you here in the studio. It's been a few years since we've spoken to you last, so let's do a quick recap of who Chuckanut Brewery is and when you guys open. A couple things like that, and then we'll talk about what's new. But when did Chuckanut Brewery open?
So we opened up in July 2008.
Okay.
Bellingham.
In Bellingham, okay. 2008. And this, of course, is years after Will entered the brewing industry. You had, in fact, if you go back and listen to the first interview, you'll find out all about Will and his long history of working at breweries, helping breweries, and a consultant. How many years have you been in the industry?
At least one.
At least one.
We started Thomas Kemper in 1984.
Oh, that's right.
And before then, I was a home brewer, and one thing led to the other, and then went on to several places.
Okay.
Yeah, we've traveled the world.
You have. And in fact, we're going to talk about some of this. You've been traveling quite a bit since we've spoken to you last
That's right.
as well.
Yeah.
Now, travel for you, is it always work or research or what?
It's a combination. Before we started Chuckanut, I was consulting for breweries starting up. So it's working across America, and so from East Coast to West Coast. Then we went down to Mexico for a few years, then over to Istanbul, Turkey for a few years,
wow.
And then coming back. But the beauty behind it was that seeing the different places and what we had to do, we had to go places to drink beer and talk to brewers around the world.
Yeah, it's awful.
It was a terrible thing.
Yeah, but
right. Now,
but any good professional, with what they do, they should expect themselves to look further. Always research. Always go for it.
Now, this I agree with 100%. And really seeing other cultures do it in different perspectives can really only help.
And seeing it at the root of where it all started. I mean, a lot of that, when we were in Europe and we were tasting the beers, all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, they brew just like Will.
Right.
It was.
Yeah, Will did this.
Yeah. So it was a reaffirmment that he was doing the right thing. He was really making these traditional beers the way that they were traditionally expected to taste.
And that is important.
That was great.
That is a nice reaffirmation.
Yeah.
Now, were the two of you travelers before you got into beer? Was this always a part of your life?
Yeah. We love to travel.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a big part.
And now you just got a better excuse. And it also opens a lot of doors, doesn't it? Like when we travel, you just get to meet brewers who then take you to local places. It just, everybody's your friend in beer.
Well, and for a professional in the industry to rub shoulders with brewmasters around the world, to deal with people providing hops and malt from different places, and so they're classical considerations. Any homebrewer, for example, understands a classical consideration, but getting in depth with them. What are the particulars? What makes them different than? What makes a German different than a Belgian? And what do they focus on? So what we tried to do is look at those and try to not necessarily imitate, certainly not emulate, but try to get information to use in a creative fashion.
Okay. That's so you really get to know your ingredients that way. You get to know the styles that way.
Undoubtedly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about your time in Mexico. I know it sounds like that was a while ago, though. But what were you doing down there for 2 years? You said.
I was down in
97, 98.
Okay.
Will was there for a year and a half,
hiding from the law.
Running.
I was looking for Pancho Villa.
Then America's Most Wanted hit the airwaves, and well, Yeah. That's why he disappeared for 10 years when he came back.
Where in Mexico was it?
It was in Monterrey.
And you were opening a brewery, basically? Not yours, but...
Yeah, I was working for a group down there.
Sierra Madre Brewing Company.
Yeah.
And they have now, I think, like 5 brew pubs and a craft brewery, and they're major players in the Monterrey area
of
Mexico. Yeah. But Will got the chance to rub shoulders with brewers and brewmasters at Cuauhtémoc Brewery.
So,
you know what they brew is?
Carta Blanca.
Bohemia.
Okay, got it.
Those guys.
So a big brewery.
Yeah.
Big brewery. And the thing is, brewers around the world, whether you're big or small, there's a camaraderie. That's the beautiful thing. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, whether you're big or small. Now, the big brewers envy small brewers because they have such flexibility. It's just wonderful.
This is a really good point you make, because there is kind of a difference between the corporate structure of a big brewery, but these aren't the people that you meet when you go to breweries. I've only been to a couple large ones, but every time my experience is just how you described. I've been to Fuller's in England, and they're such just brewers, right?
Yeah.
And so here's this great big brewery producing a lot of beer, but all they really cared about was talking about great beer and new hops and Paulaner in Germany.
Yeah.
Oh,
now,
you've been?
I went there, and that's when I thought, okay, this is going to be a very corporate and very serious tour that I'm on. Not at all.
Yeah.
Once they found out that we were brewers as well, they took us down into the basements and wanted to show us new techniques and talk about new hops. And this is a really traditional German brewery, right?
Yeah.
But they wanted to geek out about beer just like we did. So I think you're very right about this. It doesn't really matter the size of the brewery. They're still just brewers.
But what I'm hearing, though, is a time and place for that. So you're talking about Paulaner, and I could talk about Anheuser-Busch, Miller Coors, and it the business climate changes. So I'm getting at is that, generally, undoubtedly, anytime the brewers are receptive. But what happens, though, is the nature of the business. And you can look whether corporate structure or whatnot, it changes.
Yeah.
It changes to the point that sometimes, for example, Master Brewers meeting, way in the past, 10, 20 years ago, I used to go to these meetings, and the brewers had such a sad face on some of the big brewers because they couldn't communicate. They had directives from above that they don't want to talk with the competition.
I see.
And brewers don't want to do that. And brewers shouldn't do that. Brewers should always be open. Brewers should always help people, whether big or small.
Sure.
But that sometimes it changes. The
culture.
The culture changes.
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So let's talk about some of the traveling you've done recently. I noticed one of the things you went to do was to learn more about alt beer.
Well, what happened? That was 2 years ago.
Okay,
and we had to go to Dusseldorf because if you want to learn about alt beer, you better go to Dusseldorf, or you're just a fool in yourself.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate. I was asked to do a presentation for the Master Brewers Association on hybrid German beers, and we'd been to Cologne earlier and for several days for research.
Yeah.
Okay. So
lots and lots of research.
And Cologne, by the way, for Kolsch beer, and we're having a Kolsch now. But the wonderful thing is, you go to Cologne, and the Kolsches are different.
Really?
Different. That's the beauty behind it. Whether it's a bit more bitterness, whether the dryness is there.
You mean each one is different from the other?
Okay. Yeah. There's a commonness, just like there's a commonness in American Pilsner, commonness in any kind of beer style. But the interesting thing is you really have distinctively different Kolsches in Cologne, Germany.
I love that.
So I had our hop supplier, a company called Rudy Eisenman Hops. And so I'd been dealing with them for many, many years. And I was telling Rudy that I had to go to Dusseldorf in order to do research for this presentation for the Master Brewers. And he said, well, I sell virtually all the hops to Fusion Brewery, Alt Brewery in Dusseldorf. Great. So we ended up, so Rudy met us at the train station, Dusseldorf, and took us to Fusion to just drink beer and talk to the brewmaster and seeing their operations there. And to get the information for the alt beer.
The most fascinating part about that brewery, the brewmaster didn't speak very much English, so a young brewer who worked with him had excellent English.
Okay.
So he went with us and took us there.
Nice.
The cool thing was down in the basement where they were poisoning the beer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
These cement tanks were just overflowing
Wow.
with the
foam.
bubbles and foam and into the gutters.
Oh,
and
sure.
It was
some happy, healthy yeast
fantastic.
there. That is very cool.
It was really great.
So open fermentation in this particular place?
Thing.
Yeah.
And now the other thing is this brewery goes back to the 1800s.
Wow.
So what you have here is that you see what they've tried to evolve as far as the refrigeration or whatnot. They did some steps, but it's still rather primitive.
Okay.
So I talked to them, for example, about cold conditioning, cold conditioned alt. Well, in the summertime, there are issues. So the alt might only be cold and conditioned all the way down to about 3 or 4 degrees Celsius. In the wintertime, absolutely no problem.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have the refrigeration control, nor necessarily the automation computerization capability.
Okay.
But it showed to me it showed the variability of their production scheme. Oh, the other thing I found very fascinating is that they kept on throwing in different malts.
Oh, really?
So it's how that's done. There's a general malt scheme, a malt bill. But the thing is, depending upon availability, depending upon pricing, depending upon all sorts of factors, they would adjust their malt bill over the course.
See, that seems so counter to what we know, what we think we know about German beer, right?
Yeah.
So you saying from batch to batch it changed?
No, no, not necessarily. Well, actually, every beer batch to batch changes.
Or I mean the malt bill.
But as far as the malt bill. I won't say that from batch to batch. I will say because what happens is you have a malt bill, and so maybe a week later, a month later, it will be a different malt bill.
Mm-hmm.
So no, not necessarily from one batch to the batch. No, you don't want to play around that much. But most definitely after a certain period of time, availability
crop
factors,
to crop and things like
technical
that.
factors. Yeah, so you want to change it up. Yeah.
So with the seasonal temperature variation with their open fermenters and lack of fermentation, temperature control, would they lengthen or shorten the lagering time to make up for the warmer temperatures, or was it just this in the season?
I would suspect not. And the reason being here is when we're talking about different temperature control and fermentation is very different than temperature control and cold conditioning. So what you can do, it's very easy to maintain a precise temperature control in fermentation, and it would be seasonal independent. But once you get into cold conditioning, which, by the way, is a very important factor of really good German beers, then you don't necessarily you aren't necessarily able to get down to the low temperatures.
So was alt beer a seasonal beer?
No.
It still wasn't seasonal. They just dealt with the fact that it...
Exactly.
Okay.
And Fusion is at a place where the other thing is that they've been at capacity for so long.
Yeah.
They can't do anymore. They're in downtown Dusseldorf, and what happens is that they have supplies come in, and there's absolutely no more space there to make more beer. Okay. They've been like that a long time. Right now, for example, what they do is they even ship out their beer in tankers to get bottled elsewhere and then bring it back.
Interesting.
Wow.
Okay. Just for space issues?
Just for space, because packaging takes a lot of space.
Okay. Yeah. All right, well, let's talk Kolsch a little bit, too, while we're on the region. By the way, so just talking the other day, my girlfriend suggested that we go to Germany. She wants to go see it. And we said Munich, and she said, do you think you'd want to go to Dusseldorf or Cologne? Never! And I was like, fuck yeah! Let's go to Dusseldorf or Cologne.
Right,
But that's
you were
on
just
the
waiting
other
for it
side
to be
of
her
Germany.
idea.
Yeah, I was like, because, I don't think of them to be like the most exciting places to visit.
Right.
But she brought it up.
Yeah.
I was like, hell yeah, we're getting on that train.
Right.
There's a chocolate museum in Cologne.
Oh, nice.
In Cologne. Sorry,
yeah.
Cologne, yeah.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
We'll add that to the list.
That, yeah.
Why not? So we have a Kolsch in our glass.
Yeah.
And tell us about this beer.
Well, the main thing I want to say about the beer is that it is done with the traditional Kolsch yeast. And when I was in Istanbul, one of my assistant brewers was trained in Cologne, Germany, and when he came to Istanbul, he brought this yeast that we used to make Kolsch with. And so we made it there, and then when we came back to America, I tried to get the strain in. It was originally through Dolmans, and then there's a company called Laberatus out of Cologne, Germany, that supplied the strain. For a couple of years after we started Chuckanut, we couldn't. It was just too difficult with the paperwork and permitting to do it. So about 3 years ago now, it's longer than that. So about 2 to 3 years ago, then after we opened, then we had to go back to Germany to visit the Weiermanns in Bamberg to drink Rauch beer and all. And I made arrangements for a couple of slants to be shipped to where we came in at the train station in Bamberg. Okay. So as we were coming in the train station, the lady would coming up to us with a paper bag, waving it. Wow. And inside were the slants for the cold.
And then you got tackled by the TSA.
I'll have to draw attention to it. Please.
So we ended up. So I ended up carrying one strain back and putting one in my suitcase.
Okay.
Make sure the possibilities of a better chance. And that's what. By the way, that's how a lot of yeast is taking a.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, or you think the winery, wine. Business. They're
doing the same thing there.
The plant was probably full of people with yeast on it.
Yeah. So we send it to a yeast laboratory in America who maintains it for us, and then when we want slurries, then they send us some and we work it up.
Oh,
but
beautiful!
Proprietary. Sorry, guys.
It's just yours.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
You'll have to bring back your own.
With something that has such subtle nuances like a Kolsch, I think that's the way to go. Go ahead and have a proprietary yeast. Have the one that you like the best, and then when we taste different ones, there's actually some difference.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So what about the other features of the beer, the malt and things?
Well, the key malt that gives it the dryness is the malted wheat. So we use regular Pilsner malt for this as well, but as well as a bit of acidulated, because a slight addressing of the pH consideration here, but the malted wheat, and we use it in about 10% proportion.
10%. Okay.
Yeah, and that gives it the dryness. There. Now I say a contributor, but the yeast strain. The yeast strain is a pure strain, and it's really, from my way of thinking, about the closest to a lager strain that I've ever seen. But it's done, as I say, in really classical Kolsch ale conditions.
So what temperature would be your ideal primary fermentation for this?
Well, for the Kolsch, it's still pretty low. It's still about 65 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
Yeah, But then what happens is that when we work with it after attenuation, then what happens is we step down the temperature. So when we crash the beer down to lager, and we lager our Kolsch only at -1 degrees Celsius. If we go lower, we literally start freezing the beer.
Okay.
But what we do is when we lower the temperature, we literally go down a degree Fahrenheit per hour. So we don't do any, supposedly we minimize the thermal shock on the yeast, and we can easily reuse the yeast.
Okay, got it.
And do you guys, what's the mash schedule for this beer? Does that contribute to the dryness also? I would say yes, in that we make sure we get good conversion. If I'm understanding what you're asking, and so for example, we do temperature program mashing, and we look at we don't do such a low a low protolytic type of consideration. We kick it up. Our first strike in would be about 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and then we step it from there. Okay, so you'll do a rest at 140, and then do multiple steps.
Yeah. Now, the other thing I want to point out, when our mashing is very precise, and what I'm getting at is that think in terms of mashing. What's going on in there, especially in a production sense? You're looking at how do you assess a temperature? How do you give credibility to a temperature? A mash is something with a lot of solids in it. You have to look at the mixing situation. A simple thermal well with a probe in that's going to give you a number. But if you understand the mashing difficulties, that will give you a number there, but there's not very good heat transfer in your mash vessel. So what we do is that we actually work with the vessel, and we have steam jackets, low-pressure steam. We work on it. We have mixing, a very controlled mixing. We have circulation even. So we actually pump the mash from bottom to top, and we put it in tangentially in order to create the mixing situation. Then when we analyze our temperatures, what we do is we have long stem thermal probes. So virtually any place within the mash vessel, we can stick it in to see what the temperature is. And that gives us the temperatures we use.
So if I'm understanding right, you're just talking about, if I can dumb it down because I'm a little dumb, the uniformity of the temperature in the entire vessel rather than just some little piece of it.
Exactly.
Which I notice in my home brewery all the time where it is completely different temperature in one spot from another.
And that's at a smaller scale in a home situation. So once you start getting into larger production, whether you're commercial production, whether you're talking a nano brewery at 1-2 barrel, whether you're talking 5, 10, 15 barrels or whatnot, then what you're just addressing, think in terms of it. Can you actually get good representative temperatures? Now, the one thing I want to point out here is that modern malt is very forgiving, though. That's the beauty behind it. So there are classical, technical considerations you have, but modern malt is incredibly forgiving. So, yeah.
Well, this was going to be my follow-up. Sorry, Beardy, just to follow up on that. When we have German-style brewers like yourself come in, at least those who really focus on some German styles, they all talk about step mashing and that you have to do several steps, not just a single infusion. Even though they admit, like you just did, that highly modified malt that we have now is forgiving. Other craft brewers who are just, just your standard American craft brewers, who maybe do a Pilsner here or a Kolsch there, they say it doesn't make a difference about step mashing and doing different things. But Dan Gordon from Gordon Biersch is an example. He's been on our show several times. Yeah. And I've been trying to get him to admit that step mashing doesn't matter for 8 years now. And he says absolutely not, that step mashing does matter. And we love your beers, Will, and you're saying you're a step mash guy.
Step mash, yeah. So
several steps.
Yeah, we have different temperatures. However, addressing that issue, two things. First of all, how Chuckanut does things. We are very comprehensive in our approach. Whether it's a mashing, whether it's a brew kettle, whether it's fermentation, natural carbonation. So our approach is kind of overboard in that regard. I want to address this issue. What you really bring up, whether a couple of years ago, there's a conference in Portland, Oregon, and it's held every 4 years, and for brewers around the world. Okay. And the International Beer, I forget what it is, but the point is, there is a wonderful exhibit put on by a fellow named Jens Voigt, who is a PhD, works at I think it's Weinsteffen. Okay. In combination with the Weirmans, and what they did was that they did a test with different styles of beers, and the different styles, whether IPA, whether pale, whether Helles, whether Pilsner, and the only difference they tried to do, difference would be in the mashing. So they did a single infusion, they did a temperature program, and they did a decoction. Now, the fascinating thing here, and I'm going to address the results, the perspective and agenda, why people prefer one over another, that's up to them. But what happened is that it was fascinating to me because some beers, the preferred approach was step mashing, a single infusion. Others was step mashing. Okay. Usually decoction wasn't thought of so favorably. Now, these are German brewers doing this. Interesting. Yeah, and the results coming up like that. Yeah. Now, when you get into a particular brewery, obviously you'll have how the individual brewer works and all other factors might come in. But try to objectively analyze that. That was an interesting result. Yeah. Secondly, in the 1980s, I've been in the master brewers for a long time, and there's a presentation by the head brewer, I think his name is Ruben Zastros, I want to think. He's head of brewing for Anheuser-Busch. Okay. And he was talking in terms of, they did their various tests there, and he didn't say that, but the suggestion was because of the wonderfulness of modern malt, you don't have to necessarily be so involved. Interesting. And malt is getting even better and better. Okay. So.
Okay. Because you're not even necessarily doing traditional like step mashing where you're doing an acid rest, a protein rest. If you're starting at 140 and kind of going up, you're kind of doing multiple sacrification rests, basically. Is there Why do you do that? Do you get something out of it?
I get a kick out of it.
Yeah. Besides getting to say, I do step mashing.
I demand my brewers to really do it.
Yeah. So it's just to watch somebody else have to do it.
Right.
Well, from my perspective, I know it works. So I'm not going to scale back on our present operation and say, maybe in the future we will experiment and say, that's fine and dandy. I'm generalizing the approach for on the mashing consideration. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the technical thought of that with the temperature program, that appeals to me. Okay. And how we do that, is to address exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, you're establishing the fermentability of the wort by going through multiple steps doing it. You could possibly, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe at one temperature, you don't even know what that is, you could almost get the same result given the malt pretty much comes with all the protein you need, all the things you can get from the mash.
Usually attenuation or fermentation is the bottom line. Yeah. Is that necessarily the case? No. We make
flavors.
A world of beer. Yeah, flavors.
Yeah,
flavors. What contributes to flavors?
Yeah, if it makes a difference in flavor, then definitely.
Exactly. So this is kind of an open question. What is the preferable approach for the particular style?
Yeah. Well, we got the variety of malts to choose from. Yeah. I find that's where you choose the flavor because the conversion's so fast in the mash that it's already established that the malts are what's going to taste like.
Yeah. No, especially malts like spices, and if you don't use them, you're rather stupid.
Yeah. You're either stupid. There's a tip.
That's our tip of the day. Yeah. Well, so to me. Because this is sort of an ongoing argument and different brewers say different things, I just find it somewhat fascinating that my favorite German-style beers from American brewers come from those who pay attention to things like multi-step mashing. And I guess I just end up wondering, if it doesn't matter from an ingredient perspective, if the malts are so highly modified that the steps don't matter, then what does matter is that the type of brewer who's going to take the time to look into multi-step mashing, do the research to find out, go through the process, is maybe just a type of brewer who produces a high-quality finessed craft beer like a German beer.
Well, I have to agree. Now, the other thing is, what I was talking about before. How many steps are involved in making beer? There's so many. So when you talk about and say, I'm going to separate myself out because of my mash routine, good luck.
Right. Yeah. Not just that.
Yeah.
Well, the Kolsch is pretty fabulous, though. Right, guys? So,
Helles.
Now we've got Helles in our glass. Our next beer in our glass is the
and we're stuck on the Helles right now.
Can I have some of that? I got skipped.
Yeah, there's still some in the bottle we can give to Bevo there. Okay, cool.
I'll point out that it's rare that Bevo asks for a beer.
Yeah.
This is
you have my two favorite styles back to back.
Sport Loco watermelon, Sport Loco mango watermelon.
Don't be rude. I'm allergic to mango.
So, Mari, when you say we're stuck on Helles, what do you mean?
Well, when I ask Will, what do you want me to put in the growler tonight? It's always the Helles.
It's Helles. It's such a great style of beer. And in my opinion, here in the U.S., I think maybe we said this to you on the last program, hard to find great U.S. examples of it.
Yeah.
And by great, I want them to be sort of German, basically. Even though it's a U.S. example.
It's hard to find bad examples. It's just hard to find any at all.
Well,
that's true.
Yeah. Chris White, this was years ago. He was making a push for it. He thought that Helles might be the next IPA in the United States. Like, he thought it really had a chance.
Wishful thinking.
And I really wanted him to be right, but I don't know that that's going to.
It's even losing in Germany.
Is it really?
Yeah. Now you go there and you ask. So many places you ask for pills. By the way, if you ask for pills, you might get a Helles. But the thing is, Helles is it's certainly not gaining ground.
What's the difference between a Helles and a Pilsner?
Hops. Yeah, that's the main thing. So a good German Pilsner, it's based upon more hops, an IBU at a certain level. By the way, that level for, at least according to beer styles and all, should be 40 IBU and under.
Okay.
And
for a Pilsner.
For a German Pilsner.
A German
Pilsner.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. 40 and under.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hops.
And what's the traditional IBU on a Helles?
20, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it should be more malt featured.
Exactly.
For the Helles. Okay.
Yeah.
So what does the malt bill look like in your Helles here?
It's largely Pilsner malt and just a slight amount of acidulated malt.
Okay.
And obviously you'll hear a commonness here. Acidulated malt we use. And why we use it, it's not that we found out that, gee, this has made such a wonderful difference in our beers. It's kind of to cover ourselves as far as to really look at a pH consideration in that. So when I'm saying we add acidulated malt, we add it maybe to the tune of 1 to 2%.
Okay.
So it's incredibly slight, but that addition...
But it affects the pH.
Well, it's kind of a buffering situation. So all the things we do in theory, there shouldn't be any need for it.
Okay.
Brewing is more than just theory. Brewing is actuality. Brewing is doing.
Yes.
And a lot of things can come into play. And so you might have a pure, objective look at raw materials or whatnot, but other factors can come into play. Do you have slack malt? Do you have other considerations for your hops? That can affect that.
Okay.
And so they're talking about mash pH primarily, not so much the finish pH.
Exactly, yeah.
The mash pH.
Yeah.
And... and you measure that, I assume. So what are you mashing at? Say this beer here, what would you mash at? What pH
I have to be honest with you, I don't know. And I'm saying that because you're asking me. I'm now in a position I don't brew beer much anymore.
I understood that.
I tell other folks to make my beer.
I love it.
This is how you make my beer.
Good.
So asking that, I don't want to forward something that is.
Would you say it would be at the lower range of where you'd want it in terms of a typical mash pH?
Of a pH?
Because of the acid malt?
Well, it's where I want it. And the thing is, this is kind of a classical approach, too. And what I'm getting at is, you want your lower pH, but on the other hand, if you attain too low of a pH, you're detracting from drinkability.
Yeah.
What is the bottom line in making beer?
Drinkability.
You drink that damn
taste,
stuff.
yeah.
So the idea is to sit there, and what's the most drinkable product you can do? Right. So it's a balance. By the way, all beer is brewery recipe formulation. It's a balance. Hops and malt depend upon the style.
And their system too, what it provides.
Yeah.
All right, great. Thanks.
Well, not everybody who's sat in here is all about balance. I love this.
It's actually traveled well. I didn't think that the Kolsch traveled well.
Oh no, the Kolsch was wonderful as well.
Really?
The Helles I like
in person.
The Helles I like better as a style in general.
Okay.
And what's interesting to me about this beer is that it has a sweet character to it. But I don't mean under attenuated, and I don't mean that it has residual sugar in it. There's something about the malt that you've chosen that it's a little bit of almost a candy flavor in the aftertaste.
Yeah.
It's really nice. I don't like sweets, by the way, to be honest with you. I like beer really dry. This is a dry beer that somehow has this, I don't know what that is.
I think what you're really tasting is it's not necessarily the malt profile for that. It's that we do the balance with certain hops to give you that characteristic in combination with the base malt. So I'm getting at is without that addressing these hop aspects, it would come through much. I'm not going to say drier, but it's going to come through without the description you had.
Yeah,
and that's a play of it. You work with that. So you think it's the malt thing, but no, it's the particular hops that come in and the finishing that gives that attribute.
Interesting.
And without that, what you'll find is a beer that bland isn't the correct term, but the point is you don't have the description that you just placed on it.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Is it all German hops in this beer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All Cascade.
So it's all Cascade.
100% Cascade.
And what are the IBUs on a Helles? You said 23 or something?
No. Our IBU on our Helles would be about 20.
You're at 20. Okay.
Yeah. Now, the other thing I want to point out is that the hops we use, once again from Rudy, the hops we use 100% for this beer and a lot of our beer are type 45 hops.
Okay.
And it's hard to find.
What is that? Is that a pellet size?
They're pellets. But what happens is most hops pellets you get are type 90. Mm-hmm. What that number relates to is that in the processing, because when hops go to become pelletized, then there's a lot of removal of twigs, other material that you don't want. Generally speaking, you'll get about 90% of the original back you start with. Type 45, you have that, but in addition, what they do is they work under liquid CO2 conditions, cryogenic conditions, if you will.
Okay.
What happens is it further concentrates these resins, whether it's the alpha acids or other aromatic characteristics of the hops. So the point being here, from the original, then you're only left with 45% of that. Why that's nice is when you work it in a brewery with a whirlpool in particular, which you'll have essentially about half the solids you have to deal with the Type 90 consideration.
Okay.
So you have that. Secondly, the stability of the Type 45 hops is really superior as well.
I see.
So
quality ingredients.
Tighter nut, right? It's like a drier, more condensed, right?
Well, we look at the alpha acid is a key component we look at, and now, by the way, I say, so you have these numbers, but you really don't find you find about 45% of the original, but as far as the IBU, you don't double your IBU. You'll be increasing it about 50 to 75%. But the bottom line is you'll still have much less total solids to deal with.
A bigger knockout.
Yeah.
Well, because it's using more of the flower, the leaf, rather than the stem or the branch,
The junk.
or something that's heavier. Exactly.
Yeah. When I started buying weed in Northern California, that's when I noticed that difference too.
That's called shake. You don't want shake.
You don't want shake. Yeah. Do you ever find it ironic that you live in the United States hop capital, growing capital of the world, and you're buying your hops from Germany?
Yes, that's totally ironic.
Well, Will can tell you the story why that happened when we came back from Istanbul.
Because you hate American jobs.
They're disgusting folk.
Right. They're actually all Canadians. They drive down from Canada to work at the brewery.
Tell us this story.
It was kind of like you tell us
about the hops.
Yeah.
Well, we came back, and I'd been working with American hop suppliers many years before we came back, and this was at the Craft Brewers Conference in Austin in 2007. And I started to approach these folks, and I said, we're going to start a brewery. I want to continue using the hops, and they just gave me the cold shoulder. They didn't want to work with me. The nature of the hop industry at that time was very difficult.
Why? Was it the size? They didn't think you were going to buy enough, or
no? That was the middle of the hop shortage.
That was hop shortage.
That was the hop shortage.
Okay.
Or the hop shortage.
Mari did the quotations like there wasn't really a hop shortage.
There's a whole other story on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was that we don't have any hops to sell you, sir.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not going to beg somebody for hops. That's stupid, and so the fact is that these people most definitely did. I got they didn't want to sell me hops. Fine, I'll buy hops elsewhere. I can, and that's what So consequently, that's why Chuckanut beers are essentially 100% European hops.
Interesting.
Now, as we go forward, we'd like to diversify and use American hops with a lot of our plans, but that was the reason, in essence, we were forced to, and as I said, I'm not going to beg for hops.
No.
What the heck?
So are you waiting for an apology before you start ordering local hops?
No, I'm waiting for a lot of money.
Okay. They're expensive, aren't they?
Were you going to have
club
3 IPAs in the portfolio and do all sorts of pale ales and stuff until you couldn't get hops? And you're like, fine, I'll make German beer. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, did you have other plans for other styles?
Oh, yeah. And we brewed different, especially a lot of American styles over in Istanbul. Yeah. And so we were going to do it, but that changed our approach.
Interesting. Well, what a happy accident for us, because we're enjoying these styles.
I love Constantinople.
If you could go back, knowing how it turned out, brewing the European styles, and it wasn't an issue, hops were readily available, what would you do?
Are you asking would
you do it the same?
Right.
Actually, it would have probably been more. No, we would not have done the same. Absolutely not.
You would have gone with your original plan.
We would have. Yeah, we would have had actually a more diversified product line. Now we're talking 2007, 2008. Remember the economic crisis hit in 2008 too. So all that kind of impacted what was going on. But no, there's no way we'd have just adhered to German style. would have undoubtedly brewed German style.
Even knowing what you know now about the success you've achieved in that category. Yeah.
Well, even knowing now is that so? Okay, if I had the knowledge,
you had a crystal ball. Yeah.
Okay.
Moscow would like you to be psychic now. Yeah. I also need to know who wins the triple.
I think knowing now, I would have felt that our approach presently is correct, and we would not have been brewing the American beers. We have established something, and secondly, as far as what we've done here. It's going crazy well, and what's exciting is we're going to do a lot more production, and with that, then we can diversify and split off product lines. But had we done that at the time, it would have created a crazy situation. It's crazy now because there's no way in creation we can keep up with just the Pilsner.
Sure. Wow. Yeah. All right, we're gonna take a quick break and talk about that when we come back, because you are expanding a bit, and we can talk about maybe some new styles and how you're going to keep up with all these beers too. Plus, I hope we're going to drink more of it.
We do.
All right.
We got Pils, and we got Dunkel, the 2014 GABF Gold.
All right. Nice. If you want to ask questions of our guests, 888-401-BEER, or hit the chat button. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Brewcasters. The Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
Your brewing water can be a mystery. If it's good enough to drink, it's good enough to brew with, right? We all know to perfect certain styles of beer, proper water chemistry is vital. But running water tests can be complicated and expensive, but not anymore. Industrial Test Systems is proud to introduce the new Smart Brew water testing kits, incorporating the exact iDip Smart Photometer system. The only photometer on the market that harnesses the power of the smartphone and runs water tests without you doing a pile of calculations. The iDip features two-way Bluetooth communication with the brain of the system, which is its own multilingual app. This allows limitless possibilities, including lab accuracy, free upgrades, test customization, over 35 available, mobile sharing, and more. You can keep a detailed history of your results. Email your water report to other brewers or share it on social media. Visit smartbrewkit.com now and learn more about the iDip photometer and all the tests it can do for you. Craft beer and kick-ass music. This is the year to attend the 20th Annual Mammoth Festival of Beers and Bluesapalooza in beautiful Mammoth Lakes, California. Enjoy more than 80 breweries like Mammoth Brewing, Anchor, Fireman's, Bear Republic, Anderson Valley, Stone, Green Flash, Firestone Walker, Sierra Nevada, Lagunitas, Deschutes, and many, many more. On stage, you'll hear Trombone Shorty and Orleans Avenue, Johnny Lang, Robert Cray, Robin Ford, Ruthie Foster, Carolyn Wonderland, Tommy Castro and the Painkillers, the Sly Brothers, and much more. It's the most incredible lineup ever to take a Mammoth stage. Don't miss the 20th Annual Mammoth Festival of Beers and Bluesapalooza, Thursday, July 30th through Sunday, August 2nd. Tickets and more information at MammothBluesBrewsFest.com or call 888-825-5484. Tickets for some events will sell out early. Get yours at MammothBluesBrewsFest.com or call 888-825-5484 today. For nearly 40 years, one organization has had your back. The American Homebrewers Association. Are you a member? Why not? Join the more than 40,000 brewers who enjoy all the American Homebrewers Association has to offer. Like Zymergy Magazine, in print and online, plus the Zymergy app. Zymergy is the leading publication for amateur brewers around the world. Supporters also get member deals at their local breweries, bars, and homebrew shops. These alone quickly pay for your membership. You'll also get great member-only resources at homebrewersassociation.org and access to AHA events like the National Homebrewers Conference and the National Homebrew Competition. The American Homebrewers Association promotes the hobby of homebrewing, protects the interests of homebrewers, and brings beer lovers together. Become a member today. It costs less than a batch of beer and gives back so much more. Visit homebrewersassociation.org. 3 Three-time Ninkasi Award winner and Grandmaster Judge Gordon Strong invites you on a guided journey of what's new in the world of homebrewing. Modern homebrew recipes, exploring styles, and contemporary techniques available now from Brewers Publications. Gordon brings you specific advice and sensory profiles for as-brewed, award-winning beers with delicious variations to get your creative juices flowing. This is more than just a book of recipes. It sets brewers on the path to discovering what's new in the world of homebrewing. AHA Director Gary Glass says if you want to enter competitions or just learn more about styles that you might not have experience with, this book is going to help you tremendously. By emulating what Gordon does, you're going to make better beer. Modern Homebrew Recipes, Exploring Styles and Contemporary Techniques by Gordon Strong. Available right now from brewerspublications.com and find brewing retailers near you.
That's it. I've had it. I am never putting hops in my beer again.
What? Why?
It's just too ridiculous. Insane prices, stupid contracts, high shipping costs, crappy selection.
Dude, you need Nico Brew.
Nico Brew will rock your f***ing face right the f*** off your f***ing skull. $5 shipping to all 50 states. Plus fantastic international rates get you low prices on Nico Brew's great selection of hops and more. Whether you're a home brewer, a pro brewer, or a homebrew shop owner, Nico Brew can get you the hops you need in increments big and small. Single orders, spot buys, or full contracts. And there's only one place to join the uber special secret elite bare bones club where you'll get the best deals anywhere.
Holy shit.
NicoBrew.com. NIKOBREW. Nico Brew, your bare bones buddy in the brewing business.
Segmented, demented, fermented.
It's the session.
Okay, welcome back to the program. Thanks for hanging out with us. We got Chuckanut Brewery hanging out with us, too. Will and Mari Kemper are here with us. We're talking about great German-style beer. As we drink great German-style beer, Beardy, I hope that you are taking notes with your new brewery opening up.
Yes, absolutely. These guys were gracious enough to let me loiter in their brewery.
Oh, nice.
A few months ago. So all of this talk about how they get to go hang out with brewers and everyone's real friendly worldwide, and you'll get to see behind the scenes in their brewery and everything. These guys actually do it at their brewery too.
They live it.
Right, exactly. They don't just experience it. They also will let it happen on home turf.
Excellent.
And so I don't mean to just get a flood of people showing up at your brewery from now on. But.
I know the sign says no loitering, but right. Beardy from the Brewing Network.
Yeah. So Beardy's opening a new place called Chuckanut Brewery.
Yes.
And,
right. And we'll be doing German Pilsner with a U-R at the end. It's totally different.
Ner.
Yes.
I get it.
It's actually
with an umlaut.
It's going to be called Junkabutt.
Yes.
Only for people with big asses.
That's his new.
Can we pass some of that beer over?
We will. And actually, speaking of that, Beav, do you want some of this Pilsner?
First of all, that was really rude.
Hey, gave us a layup. Come on. And you shotgun that Hellas, so I don't know.
All right, real quick, don't forget about our good friends over at Beersmith. You can go to beersmith.com right now and get the Beersmith brewing software. You get a free 21-day trial, and we all use it here. It's just a great piece of software. You can use it on PC and Mac. Brad over there supports the program. Plus, he's got a podcast, and you can check it out. He does a lot of great interviews over there. He's had our friend John Palmer on, and you name it. Go over to beersmith.com and check it out. Get your free 21-day trial of the brewing software. You don't have to take my word for it. You can just test drive it yourself, and then when you love it, you'll buy it. That's pretty much how it works. All right. Thanks to Beersmith for supporting this show all these years. Okay. So in our glass now, we have the 2012 Brewing Network Beer of the Year.
Yes, we do.
Yes. I believe. Now, did you ever... Scott must have told you the sort of backstory of our Beer of the Year. And, okay, so we do this whole awards show, right? And none of the awards matter to us, except actually for Beer of the Year. So we do all these funny awards, and we give out, Douche of the Year and all of these other things. But the Beer of the Year one is the only one we actually collaborate on. We sit down, we talk about the beers that we've had throughout the year, and we give away. But
it's very serious.
It's the sincere one, yeah.
Right. So, in other words, it means something to us.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
And then you guys were so nice about it because it meant something to you too. But you are the only brewery on earth that's ever publicized that you won a Brewing Network.
Not only publicized.
I'm so excited.
So are we.
They have their permanent medal count section of their website, which is quite a long page, as you would imagine. And right there, next to GABF Brewery of the Year twice, Brewing Network Beer of the Year.
I love it. I mean, it's our own fault because breweries don't really direct other people to our awards show because it's such a mess. So it's sort of our fault. But I just want you to know that one it does mean something to us, and we just thought it was really cool that you also publicized it.
Yeah, well, we were pretty excited. We know you guys drink a lot of beer.
If we didn't have to keep it interesting, I would just give this beer every year. It's the best beer on the planet.
Now it's officially back in the running for 2015.
It is.
At
it again.
That's why I booked them.
Well, and also for us, it's kind of cool because we don't care if it's a small brewery that everybody can't get the beer, or if it's a big brewery. We've given it to Firestone a few times too, because we just genuinely that year really loved the beer. In fact, I think they won back-to-back ones. But we don't exclude just because our listeners can't get the beer unless they come to Bellingham. We just thought, what was the best beer that we've had this year? And it was your beer. So we were proud when you publicized it, is why I'm bringing it up. And now it's in our glass again.
It is, and not only was it that beer, it was that beer out of an unlabeled brown bottle, as I mentioned in the first segment, that was shipped via whatever.
Held up well, and then got drank in my 85-degree garage.
Yes, and it was still the beer of the year. And it was in May, and we make that decision in late December. I mean, it was a seriously memorable beer.
It really was.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, that's the beer that did go to Italy for the Pils Pride Festival.
Oh, yeah. So tell me about that. We met the organizer of that. I think he's the organizer, right?
Yes.
Agostino, that's right.
Yeah.
We got to meet him a couple years now at Firestone. And so he puts on, is it a Pils Fest?
Yes, and it has Pilsners from all over Europe, including Italy.
Okay.
I think they have a Belgian Pils.
God,
they have
I want to go to this.
Pils.
Yeah. It's just for the listeners,
Pils.
real quick, just so they know who and what we're talking about. It's Birrificio Italiano is the brewery.
Birrificio.
Thank you. And Agostino Arioli is the proprietor and brewmaster. And he's super nice and really animated and excited about beer. You can see interviews on our YouTube page because we've interviewed him twice at the Firestone Fest. So go to youtube.com/Brewing Network.
Did we get on video from that fest? Because the first time you interviewed him, he signed some Ariolis after the show.
He did.
You'll recall.
He was such a hit that someone wanted him to sign their cleavage after the. And he was funny because, not that he's a prude or anything, but he's pretty serious about beer too. He was embarrassed.
Very serious.
He was happy and embarrassed at the same time.
An Italian prude. It seems like a juxtaposition.
That's a thing.
Next time I'll talk to him, get him over that.
Get him over it.
It's like a tolerant German. It just doesn't happen.
Yes, right. So anyhow, he puts on this Pilsner Festival.
Yeah, I think that was the last year, though, or I don't think he did it this year because he made it really big the year we went, and it was over the top. It was way too much for him to handle. So I'm not quite sure he even did it this past year. But, Matt's beer, the Pivo Pils, it had gone there the year before, and it was through Matt that we got invited to the one that we went to.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So he had your beer and then invited you, or just based on Matt's recommendation?
Based on Matt's recommendation.
Cool.
Because he knew Matt really well.
Okay, got it. So how was the event? You got to go?
Really fun. It was smaller than we expected, though.
Okay.
I mean, it's just at his brew pub, which is under a couple of beautiful trees in an old building. And I mean, in a very small town.
I see. So it sounds amazing.
It was. Yeah. It was really lovely. And it was for I think, was it 2 days?
Something like that. And but we were over there in Bologna and Lake Como for a few days, too.
Before we went and did a little travel.
If you're going to go, I mean, you got to sandwich stuff.
Right.
But there were quite a few Italian brewmasters there.
Okay.
And that was kind of neat because then the one interesting thing he did was he invited all the brewers that were there. He said, tell us your passion. And so they got up.
The Italians.
Yes. And so what was funny was Brian from Moonlight Brewing in Santa Rosa.
Yeah.
He was there. His beer did not make the trip very well, so he wasn't able to serve his. But he did stand up and start chatting, and they were supposed to do just 10 minutes, and so he chatted for quite some time.
Of course he did.
He's passionate about everything.
Yeah.
And then Will got up and Will started chatting. And then after about 10 minutes, we all thought he ended and we're clapping.
Yeah.
And then he went on.
You're like, hey, I was just taking a pause. I needed
I'm just doing one patient at a time.
Yeah.
I got 10 of them.
But the memorable thing, the passionate thing that Will said is to be a brewer is like a sculptor.
Oh.
You sculpt away, what you don't want in order to get to this beautiful thing.
Wow.
At the end.
Will, you handsome man.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I guess when you're in Italy, the Italian tendency to wax poetic about everything.
It just rubbed off.
Yeah.
Will was hey, when in Rome.
Yeah.
Literally.
And I think
Italy.
Brian was talking about, and it was interesting because they were the oldest brewers there as
Okay.
well. And Brian was talking about being a painter.
Oh, and Brian can wax.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other guys, they weren't as romantic as these two older fellows, which was really kind of
You
cute.
showed up the Italians. I love it. I was just speaking from the heart.
Forget about it.
But that was a fun thing.
Yeah, that's very cool. The places beer will take you. That's super fun.
My favorite Dr. Seuss book.
Places beer will we're writing it now.
And last year, beer took us, besides Italy, it took us to Australia and Brazil.
Oh, wonderful.
So that's the nature of the beer business. You have to go to taste beer.
Research, very important.
Research, yeah.
But the trip to Australia was a group that we had, these people that we had met years ago. Just after we opened Chuckanut, they came in one cold, wintry night. I was running the bar, and they said, well, we're from Australia, and we're going to make a brewery in Melbourne. And I said, well, that's great. I says, well, I'll give you a little tour. So I gave them a tour of the brewery, and we came back, and I took them through all the beers, and they were, pretty impressed. And I said, you really ought to talk to Will because he's helped so many people get started. And they said, well, no, we can't. We started in San Diego. We came all the way up the coast tasting beer. We've been at over 100 breweries. And now we're going to Canada. And then we're going to go over to the east side of Canada. And then we're going back to Australia. And I said, well, fine, okay. So a month later, we get an email from this guy. He says, out of all those beers we tasted, we liked yours the best.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Can you come over and start our brewery for us?
Oh, wow. You're kidding.
And
so they wouldn't wait 24 hours to talk to you, but they'll fly you over to Melbourne.
Well, they needed to make sure there wasn't better beer somewhere in Canada.
Yeah, exactly. So then what happened is Will's brewer from Istanbul, who's an American guy out of San Diego, who actually is the brewmaster at Great Raft in Louisiana.
Okay.
Anyways, he had just come back from Istanbul and was brewing at a place he didn't like, and we said to our newly found Australian friends, why don't you get Harvey to do it for you? And so they got a hold of Harvey, and they sent for Harvey, and Harvey put together their brewery. And for the past 2 years, they are the medium-sized craft brewer of the year in Australia.
Wow.
And what happened was that when we went over there, Will collaborated with by then they had a different brewmaster. Will collaborated 2 of the beers. They Skyped about and talked about and got the recipe together. And they brewed it before we went. And the other 2, they brewed while we were there.
Okay.
And all 4 of them got medals in that Australian
they actually
brewery
got gold medals.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if they got.
That's
but
excellent.
anyways, it was great, and they're forever grateful to us that we were the inspiration for their brewery. It's really great if you ever go to Melbourne. It's called Thunder Road Brewing Company.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would love to check it out. We went to Australia last year. We skipped Melbourne. The Australian National Homebrewers Conference we went to was in Canberra.
Oh, okay.
Which you can skip, just so you know.
It's not very Very Vegas.
And so we did get to go to Sydney, and then we went way over to Perth, and for some reason we didn't put Melbourne on the list.
Melbourne has great food, too.
So
by
we
the way.
hear, yeah. So we'll have to go back. Well, that's a fun
Definitely,
opportunity. How
yeah.
long did you spend there helping them start the brewery?
Well, we didn't help them start the brewery. We just went to do the collaboration
Just for the couple
brews.
okay.
They'd already started 2 years before.
Yeah, something like
maybe.
that. Yeah.
And,
well, are collaboration brews difficult for you? I ask because I get the sense that you really know what you want, and you go into a brewery, and it might be hard for you to let go sometimes of the things that you want, but when you collaborate, it's still someone else's brewery.
Well, when we collaborate, it's not. I collaborated with the folks in Australia because they had a good system there, and I felt comfortable with that.
Okay.
Otherwise, folks come and collaborate at Chuckanut, but I don't necessarily have the skills to just go any place in God's creation to collaborate, constructively there.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because we had a good friend from the years we were in Istanbul. We met Rebellion Brewing brewmaster. This is Marlow, England,
Okay.
and we got to be good friends with him. And we invited him over to brew with us, but he couldn't make it, so he sent his head brewer, Ed, over. And they actually made a beer. We called it Roasted Chuckanuts.
Okay.
Because they had a beer called Roasted Nuts over there that they did, and we were trying to make something like that. And that beer actually came out pretty good. That was it was an English style.
Yeah, well, Marlow is a classical English production
Yes.
scheme too.
Okay.
Yeah, called Rebellion Brewery. You can look it up. It's doing really well.
Good.
Actually. Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
then-
describe the beer that you brewed at Chuckanut
I
then.
can't remember what that one was.
It's just an amber beer, I think, and it was.
It was nice, a little bit spicy, a little bit hoppy.
And it was an ale.
And it was a British ale.
Yeah.
But it's probably, it'd be using our yeast strain, our ale strain, our
Yeah.
cold strain.
Okay.
Because you don't want to fool around with yeast strains. It's absurd, you maximize, you optimize your yeast performance.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means you focus in on your yeast and the factors associated with that. So just casually going left and right, that and that or that, no, you don't get optimum results.
That's a good point.
That's the key in collaborations. You're going into a setting where you don't know how things operate, and the yeast is probably the most operational element in the whole brewery because it's the biggest part of the ferment,
right?
And you can't come in and try to change that. That's something you should hold constant.
But a lot of collaborations will, right, Tasty? They'll come in and want to do this whole new
all the
style,
time.
so we better order this new pitch of yeast.
That's right.
And,
They do that.
and of course you can do it, but I think you make the good point that you're
You're not going
losing.
for the center of the target. You're not getting the most out of the brewery that way.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Did you do a lot of collaborations at Chuckanut, the brewery? No.
Not really, but we did one other. We had Jason Oliver from Devil's Backbone.
Oh, yeah.
He's a good friend of ours as well. And he came out because the CBC Craft Brewers Conference was in Portland this year. And so he came out and he stayed with us and came into the brewery. And they did that one was called Devil's Little Nut.
Okay.
And
I love it.
That one was a session Pilsner, real spicy, hoppy, but light, 3.7% alcohol.
Okay.
So it was really a session beer.
Yeah.
And it was really popular. Like, that may be one that we'll bring back because it was, people
Or at least the
really
style.
like that one. Yeah. And that's the thing about collaborating, too. It's trying new things
You learn
and
that.
seeing if
Get
you
you
like
outside your
something
box a
new.
bit. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, but then Brian, our head brewer, he's done a couple of collaborations in Seattle with friends that friends that he's brewers, these other brewers that he's friends with that have breweries down there, and those have come out pretty good.
Okay.
We always sell them at our pub, so people get a chance to try them.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Before we run out of time, we definitely want to try the Dunkel.
Okay.
Because it's a gold medal winner for you guys. Just last year. Multiple gold medals.
Multiple.
I love
They
this.
clang together.
So we're going to try
2
this.
times World Beer Cup winner.
Is that right?
Yes.
Gold medal will.
I love this.
Gold and silver, and then, I don't know. Yeah.
only
Tell
one
us
of
what
those.
you think.
Okay, so we want to try that, and then there's a couple of topics I still want to make sure we talk about. And one is this malt project that you're working on. But quickly, before we do that, I just want to talk. You have a little expansion going on, too. I mean, you mentioned even at the beginning that you can hardly keep up with the production of pills. So what's the plan here? What are you guys doing?
Well, we're hoping to make an announcement very shortly. The last couple of years, we've worked on getting a larger production scheme going.
Mm-hmm.
So that means, obviously, a lot more beer coming out, which will enable us to get a lot more beer out.
Yeah.
To diversify, we're still talking. We'll still maintain our present operation, and we're looking at that then we can specialize at a smaller brew scale
at the existing location.
Exactly.
Right.
So you're looking at a local production brewery, building a local production brewery?
Yeah. That's
Wonderful.
What we want to do. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And it would be in an area, well, we can't really say because we haven't really signed on the line.
Okay. Sure.
But,
okay.
We're
You're
getting
trying to get into an area.
closer. Yeah, and it's an area where our friends who have the Skagit Valley Malt happening.
Which is this malt project we're going to talk about,
too. Malt project that we're very excited about.
Okay.
Yes. And
what
so
size?
it'll be near to that.
What size brewery are you thinking?
We have a lot of area, so from
acreage,
the initial
2.5 acres.
Yeah,
okay,
2.5 acres, and we're looking at a brew house, not that much larger, only about 20 barrel, but so we'll be able to kick that up to a capacity of 10 to 15,000 barrels, and then from there, then we're looking at a bottle house, and then then a larger brew house scheme over and above that.
Wow!
So it's kind of a
good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, these are the things we want to hear.
Well,
because we're not in Bellingham. Exactly. This is why we're excited about this.
The beer will flow this way.
That's what we hope.
It goes downhill.
Well, and it sounds like
downhill?
you're doing it in such a way that you could have a phase 1 and a phase 2 and sort of grow into this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I've only put together about 30 breweries around the world, so I have an idea.
Right. Man, well, I want you on my side when we're building a brewery. This is, I have no doubt you're going to do it right up there. That's very cool. So then tell me about this malting project, because I find this interesting. Hops are what everybody talks about, and now there's proprietary hops, and there's small batch, and there's small batch everything, but the malt is a hard one to do.
Well, yeah, I think when I started the malt project... your malt.
The other.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I didn't know.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. My bad. My fault.
I don't even know what he's talking about, Will.
Please continue.
Yeah. So, what's happening?
Well, there's a group down there called Skagit Valley Malting Company, and they've been working on this project for about 3 or 4 years now. They've invested quite a bit of money behind them. And when they first approached us and said they're doing this project, I said, oh, yeah, good luck. Malt, I understand how malt's made. Good luck, guys. So I went down there, and I was totally overwhelmed. And by the way, recently at CBC, our good friends the Vireman's came up to visit us for several days, and I thought it was very important for them to see what was going on too. And so I took them to the malt house there, and they spent a lot of time there, and they came away quite impressed as well.
Wow!
Yeah,
on that possibility.
They said these guys are pioneers.
Really?
And what that is really, and I really only address a technical aspect of whether malt hops beers. And so when I got down there, the one thing that they have going is that the makeup of this group, first of all, they're a lot of them they're retired folks from the Silicon Valley. So computerization, automation, that type of thing. What that also addresses is feedback so you can assess, analyze, control all the various steps in malting. So the base scheme, it's not a floor malting, it's a drum malting. But in the drum malting, and it's a size of about 10 tons each, and we're talking many, many drums, by the way. Ultimately, right now there's only a couple, but the point is at 10 tons at a time, and each step...
Is that large or small?
It's
I don't have a reference.
The fireman said that's the one thing they were worried about.
Yeah,
we make 90 tons at a time.
And that's what their drums are.
Yeah.
Wow. And these drums are 10 tons. The Vireman's don't have drums. I think the Vireman's
no, they have some drums, yeah.
Do they have drums?
But the thing is, what is, it's also a matter of size, and if you get much larger than that, and what extent or degree of control do you have? That's the issue. So discussing this with them, it's like an optimum size where if you go larger, yeah, it's fine, you can make more, but now you start to detract from workability, the sensing, the factors involved in there. So you look at what is involved in malting several days. All the brewers know about malting. So what you do here is several days from germination and all the other drying aspects of it. Well, in conventional malting, that is controlled by controlled by a very distinct procedure that you do not want to delineate change from. So any barley that would be coming in, it has to conform to the malting procedure. Now, by the way, there are thousands of different malt strains that have we know about.
Sure, varietals.
Year
to year, same varietal will be different.
Yeah. And so what happens, though, is looking at the possibility here of instead of having the malt conform to the barley conform to the malt, let's have the malting conform to the barley.
So they would alter their process.
So, but you need the alterability capability.
This is how it started. These guys are in Skagit Valley, which is a big farming area in Washington State.
Okay.
And the farmers are really wanting to be self-sufficient,
be closer to the market,
sustainable. They want to
eliminate a middleman, maybe.
No, they want to be sustainable. They want to be processing all year round kind of thing.
Okay.
So they grow a lot of tulip bulbs, the seeds for spinach. There's a lot going on there. And they do the cover crops. The cover crops are usually maybe wheat or barley or something that they grind back into the soil to enrich it. Well, if they can sell that wheat or barley, then they're making more money.
Well, get a premium because it is barley, whereas it's not that it's wheat.
That's right.
And the other thing I want to add is you have beer at the end of it.
Oh.
Yes.
But the malting barley...
We're on the same page there.
Yeah. The malting barley gets paid. They get more money
premium,
from it
as
opposed to feed barley.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then that's when these ex-Silicon Valley engineers and such said, we'll be the maltsters, because they had thought of shipping it out, getting it malted, and shipping it back.
Yeah.
That's crazy because it's very expensive for the shipping part.
It's a lot of diesel fuel,
So do it locally.
So do it locally. So they said, we'll do it, and they started working on this malting machine. Well, the beauty of this whole thing is also that the Wazoo test farms, Washington State University test farms, they create seed for the farmers in the area very specifically for that area. That area, the only other place in the world that has the same kind of growing conditions is England.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So it makes a plump barley, but the thing is, the AMBA, American Malted
Barley Association.
Yeah, American. Yeah. So they cannot use that barley because it doesn't conform to the barley
process.
Yes, exactly. And the most of that is being grown in the Midwest, where the barley actually dries on the stalk. But this barley that they grow in Washington State, it's called Cascadia. It's from northern Oregon all the way up into Canada. It gets taken out, and then it needs to be dried, and then it needs to go to the malting process.
Sure.
So there's an extra step in there that the people in the Midwest don't need to go through. And these guys are working diligently on creating this machine that will actually work with this type of barley. So we are so excited because I can talk to the farmer that's growing that barley, and I can talk to the maltster that's malting that barley, and then we're all drinking the beer.
That's the happiest ending ever.
Right. And Happy triangle.
The other thing about that is I talk to the maltsters, so I have input on the malting process and what we need. And we're looking at, right now, the barleys that are used do not qualify for AMBA certification. And that's actually kind of a given in that they want to address barleys that won't conform.
That don't. I see.
Yeah. So what you have here in the brewing industry, the especially hops, for example, that's taken off. Wonderful, wonderful. Where's malt? It's not. It's not. It had been too restricted. But now we're really at a point where we can address adjusting the malting routine to the barley and the possibilities. The only difficulty is where do you start? Where do you start?
Yeah.
It's almost an infinite possibility.
Yeah.
We can work with that, and the bottom line is we're ultimately going. It's absurd to think you're not going to get very distinctive flavors, barley malt flavors out of that. If you have distinctive malt barley flavors, you're talking about different beer styles potentially.
No, a better beer. That's something
better, but it's just
So let me make sure I just have this straight. A local university will engineer a seed designed specifically to grow in your region. And then it will grow in your region. And then go to a local maltster who will adjust the process specifically for that barley that was grown.
We can do that, but it's more than that too. And what I'm saying is, they can do that. But for example, the other aspect is the area we're talking about that has the world's record for barley yield per acre.
Wow. Okay.
So this is the quality that we're looking at as far as here. But from a brewer's perspective, the whole thing is almost from a brewer's perspective. That's great. That's fine. What's the beer? What is the potential for the beer?
Yeah.
And that's the exciting thing. So some of the malts we've had, which are not AMBA certified, we will get conversion. We will get yield out of them. We also get different flavors.
Right.
And how we work with that, then I think that's exciting.
That's really exciting.
It's really exciting. I mean, I'm thinking I do a lot of session beer recipes, and if you could come up with a malt that would give a beer that's clearly light in malt because it's low in ABV, a distinct flavor, it's amazing.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. With growing conditions like England, why don't they just plant a bunch of Maris Otter and then have U.S. grown?
They're using the Maris Otter
seedlings,
all the specific. What is it?
Well, I think one thing I would submit, they can do that, but why? Why make malt that is so much that's done so well, whether it's in German Weirmann malt or the Maris Otter malt in England? Yeah, you can do that, but why emulate
do
that?
it differently?
Let's open up broader. Let's look at the possibilities over and above that.
You hung out with Brian Hunt a little too long over in Italy, I think, because
that's making beer. But why are we calling it beer? Let's call it Garbenstein and blow all doors off this thing.
Yes. But that's a good point. A good answer to Beardy's stupid question, I think.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to cut down on transportation and lower the carbon footprint of all those English brewers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or English beer brewers in the U.S.
Fuck up, Beardy.
Yeah. Sorry, I care about the world.
Why?
Well,
I don't know.
Okay.
That is exciting stuff, and then just more tools to play with, more ingredients to expand the beer.
And why Chuckanut works well with them is how we approach beers, and we use the term malt forward for our beers.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, then we can truly work with them. We can work, session beers. That's a great idea. That's
beer tailored malt.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, before we have to go, the Dunkel is in our glass now,
yes,
too.
Please.
Yes. What another wonderful beer from Chuckanut here. Multiple gold medal winner. When did you first brew this beer?
Thomas Kemper Brewery in 1985.
Oh, all right, yeah. It's been with you for a while, huh?
Yeah. He's been working on it for 30 years.
It shows.
Not the same recipe from then, is it? It's an evolving recipe?
It's not the same recipe, I know. But as far as the recipe you're drinking now, it's probably about 15, 20 years old. Yeah.
Wow.
So I always get confused about this style. Dunkel?
Yeah.
Dunkel Weizen?
No.
Different?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I didn't want to make a fool of myself. It's Dunkel Weizen that I generally don't. I'm not a big Weizen fan. I don't like the yeast characters of those beers. But a Dunkel, then, is the one that I am always a fan of because of these really toffee, wonderful caramel, like these malt-forward notes you're talking about. Right. This is just a beautiful example. But also not cloying. This is, I guess dry isn't the word, but this is a really well attenuated beer, right?
It's well attenuated. The key here is dark Munich malt. So that's the thing. As far as, but once again, if you don't have that, you really don't make a good dunkel. So
there's your regular Munich malt, and then there's dark Munich?
The Pils, for example, the Helles, you can think in terms of the dunkel as just a darker version of the Helles, but the malt makeup for that, the Helles is, once again, we use Pilsner malt for the Helles, but here it's a slight proportion of Pilsner malt, but it's a majority dark Munich malt. However, that adds obviously flavor. The flavor is a key thing there as far as a dark Munich malt. But the other thing is, if we just use that, it would be too pale. So it's a matter of you have to put some malt in to give that darkness. And right now, it's fascinating also. Most of that darkness is due to a malt from Patagonia Malting Company in South America. So
interesting.
So they make a malt called Black Pearl that we found in Chuckanut. Combining that with the other malts, it has a certain characteristic really ideal for the dunkel.
It's a very complex beer. It has a lot going on in there. It's just wonderful.
Yeah.
Low IBUs on this also, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what are we talking here? Like 15?
Probably about 20, 22, something.
Okay,
like that.
all right, yeah.
Get with it, dude.
But there's almost cinnamon. Like, do you get a little bit of cinnamon?
Yeah. It's now that you say it that way, you know that Mexican chocolate that you cook with? You don't eat it, you cook with it. I forget what it's called. It has some cinnamon character, but it has a lot of other malty characters, too. That's what now that you said it, now that you mentioned that, I kind of get that out of it. Which is, again, a really complex type of a chocolate. It's wonderful. It's also not all that dark.
Well, it shouldn't.
It's more like a pale amber.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, from feedback a little bit.
Do you filter your beer?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Yeah, we do because all of our beers run through a common bright beer tank. And if we have unfiltered beer, then it would impact the filtered beer. Secondly, by the way, we only filter to the extent of yeast removal, so we don't do, filtration above that. It's kind of a philosophical approach too with how we manufacture beer. And we have extremely good attenuation with all our beers, for example. And at the end, if we have yeast within that beer, what happens is the yeast is under a stress condition, and it will decompose, oddlize, and dead yeast is not a positive taste attribute.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially for packaging.
Exactly, yeah. And that's the thing, as far as Mario was talking about the sculpting aspect, that's another consideration to that. What happens here is you have, the yeast is obviously incredibly necessary, but once it's performed, then what do you have? You have something that will not add anything positive, but it can most definitely add something negative.
It's all there for it, yeah.
Yeah, and final thing on that. So when I first get a brewer, I have him taste yeast out of tanks. Yeah. I say, is that what your beer wants? You want your beer to taste like?
A good question.
Yeah. And once you dial into that flavor, and I unfortunately have, when I drink a cloudy beer, a lot of times I can actually taste the yeast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how this doesn't win every year at the.
Well, this was in the World Beer Cup, so I assume there were true European dunkels that you're up against to win, right?
Actually,
and you won gold medal, you said?
That's one gold medal at the World Beer Cup.
At the World Beer Cup. I love that. That's always exciting when I see that. And all the styles. When American Brewery, beats the traditional style.
Yeah.
That's just fun. No, it's a really well done beer. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing all your beers, guys.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
I really wish you were our local brewery.
We have a couple people in the chat room that are locals to Chuckanut, and they're in the chat room bragging. They're locals.
They're ours.
Yeah. This one guy's like, actually, after this segment, I might actually go down and grab a pint. Bastards. I know, right?
So we have a couple local breweries around us, and we love having them here. And because they're kind of, one's literally right next door, and then the other one's just a little block away. We don't carry their beer on tap because we send people go have the beer over there. If you were next door to us, I would still want your beer on tap. I would still still say, try the Chuckanut Pills here, and then if you want more, go next door. I would still carry your beer on tap. Really wish you are local. This is wonderful. I got to come make it up and hang out with you guys sometimes in the brewery so I can taste more of it. How many different beers do you produce at the brewery?
I think this last year we'll probably have produced 15 beers, something like that.
Okay.
But easily 95% of our beers are Pilsner and Kolsch.
Got it. And the locals just eat it up. They just love it.
Yeah, they love it. We have good support. We have incredibly good support down in Seattle.
Okay. Good. Draft and bottle now outside?
No.
Just draft. Okay.
Draft still. We did get a bottling line, but then we found we couldn't keep up with the kegs.
Oh, yeah.
So the bottles are only at the brewery.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so you were selling it in Bellingham, and then you've pulled them from shelves?
It didn't last very long. We saw that the writing on the wall.
That's still smart planning.
It's the business, so we did have it, but what the distributor did was he set on it and he released it to a large grocery chain, and I went in 3-4 months later, I'm seeing this beer, I'm saying, what the heck is that doing there? And then I got the story following that like I said, the distributor set on the beer. So
why?
Yeah,
just because
sometimes it happens. I mean, I don't think they did it on purpose, but
it does happen, and
it does happen. Yeah,
I didn't get to go to CBC in Portland this year, but I went the year before. It was before we were opening up here, and I got to sit in on some different panels. And one of them was a panel with distributors and brewers on the same panel, which got heated from time to time. But one of the interesting comments, and I think it was maybe Vinny from Russian River, one of those guys that was up there, whoever it was just really very strict about their distributor relationship and very choosy. Yeah. And maybe not every up-and-coming brewer has that luxury to be so choosy, but he was just adamant about the fact that you need to be very selective and very choosy because of these things that can happen. Your brewery left on a shelf, your brewery forgotten about, any number of things that could happen to your beer once you let go of it.
It's true. Because we distributed our beer ourselves at the beginning, and then we turned it over to the brewers. I mean, the distributors. Yeah. So we were very cautious, and even so now, but some things you don't know about. Like later when I told the distributor, we don't want to give you the bottled beer because it did that, he says, well, you know what you have to do? You have to tell them you can only buy one case at a time.
Wow.
And that's kind of what Vinny, I think, ended up doing, too. Russian River, I know they pulled
really
out of
limiting.
the Washington State market. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that way, if they sell a case, then they can get the next case.
I see.
And then if they're consistently selling a case, then maybe they can have 2 cases. But you just have to watch how they do that.
It's the same distributor that's doing your kegs. You gave the bottles to as well.
Correct. And out of the blue, so we felt comfortable with distribution of the kegs and all. And finding this is like, what the hell's going on here? So
well, and like you said, Mari, I think that sometimes it can happen unintentionally, but that's still the reason to pay a lot of attention and be very choosy. I do think that not all distributors are evil. That's not what's happening, but occasionally they are as well, and so you really do need to pay attention. So small brewers beware.
You do have, is it a stout I see you're brewing now? A couple of American style non-lager beers?
We did the stout. We do stout. We do porter. We do a robust porter. They're mostly British style because we don't use American hops. So and sometimes we won't say the actual style because it does use the European. We have British hops that we throw.
Yeah, a big seller is an IPA, but it's a British IPA.
Yeah, British IPA is done very well in our pub, but we don't even sell that because we figure everybody else is making an IPA.
Sure.
We don't need to,
Nice.
We don't need to try to sell that and take someone else's. So.
Do you guys still have any of the Baltic Porter that was being filtered?
Well, actually...
Oh, sorry.
We can't tell anybody because we're trying to save it for Christmas.
Just don't mention it, whatever you do.
Yeah. Don't mention the Baltic Porter.
Right, okay.
We are definitely not cellaring the Baltic Porter until Christmas.
Come in and use the password Dunkel Tights. You cannot get a pint for $4.95.
Right.
Well, it may or may not have tasted really good, both pre-filtering and post-filtering.
What yeast is in the Dunkel?
What yeast?
Yeah, is that another
3470? All of our that's a conventional lager yeast strain, so that's used by most commercial loggers, and it's a workhorse.
Got it.
So I'm not so concerned about that. People can come in, I'll give them the our lager yeast. The ale yeast, no, that's proprietary.
That's your proprietary one. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right, you two.
Thank you, Justin.
You guys are living the life. There's a reason you two are so happy. I can tell. You're all smiles. You always have been. The way you travel, your outlook on life, your outlook on beer, you're an example of how we should be living.
Yeah.
So
it's because they do a lot of research.
It's a lot of research. Got to get out there and research.
And Quaaludes.
It's
a lot of Quaaludes.
Research and Quaaludes.
Yes.
No, it's very nice to see you two in person here in our studio. I hope you'll come back, and maybe one of these times when we have you back, it'll be to launch your beer in Northern California.
That'd be great.
Something like that. We would love that. A pleasure to talk to you. Pleasure to drink your beer.
Yes.
Hang around. We're going to go out eat some dinner at the break here, and when we come back, we've actually got another Bellingham brewery in the studio with us. We're going to be talking to Menace Brewing, also part of Local Public House. They're a nonprofit brewery that's opening up there. We'll find out that story when we come back. Hang in there. It's The Session.
You're listening to the Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
A few things happened 30 years ago.
ARPANET migrated to TCP/IP, and the Internet was born. Revenge of the Jedi was renamed Return of the Jedi and opened in theaters. Mila Kunis and Emily Blunt were born, beginning a rad fantasy in my mind.
But all of that pales next to the fact that HopTech opened its doors and began blowing homebrewers right out of their mash tuns. HopTech doesn't fuck around. Real people shipping awesome shit straight to you. Their new website is fast and easy to navigate. Or just call 800-379-4677 and let badass bitch Jade and the gadget guy Roberto blow their warm load of customer service all over you. So visit the site or visit the store in Dublin, California and support those that support you. Get your brewing on at hoptech.com.
If you don't know Yeastman, you're missing out. White Labs Yeast Manager, Yeastman, is available free to any brewer. Yeastman is your direct link to White Labs' yeast production facility. Yes, you can check yeast availability, and yes, you can place an order, but Yeastman is much more. View yeast quality control and analytical reports. See your big QC Day entries and reports. Get access to the entire White Labs catalog, specials on overruns of freshly made yeast, and customized options for your account. Yeastman is the only real-time online ordering in the business connected directly to factory production. Yeastman is always on and always live. It's the largest online marketplace for specialty brewers' yeast and related products. Visit yeastman.com today and tap directly into White Labs production facility. Gonna brew? Yeastman to the rescue.
When I order a beer, I want my server to know more about it than I do. I want someone who enjoys good beer and loves helping others enjoy it too. I want someone who knows how to pour a perfect pint for every beer style. I want a Cicerone.
The Cicerone Certification Program is creating the type of people who help you enjoy great beer. Home brewers and craft beer lovers know beer is more flavorful and complex than ever, and it takes some serious knowledge to store and serve beer right. Cicerones know beer. There are 3 levels in the Cicerone program: Certified Beer Server, Certified Cicerone, and Master Cicerone. Cicerones are truly the sommeliers of beer. The best beer locations have a Certified Cicerone on staff. Relaxed and unpretentious. Cicerones are tested on storing and serving beer, beer styles, flavor and tasting, the brewing process and ingredients, and pairing food with beer. Learn more about your next beer guide at cicerone.org. Certified Cicerone, because it takes top talent to present a perfect pint.
Do you know the three most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star San, SaniClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today. Adventures in Homebrewing have the knowledge and expertise to craft their own gear and original recipes. Some of the things homebrewing.org creates and manufactures in-house are the Brutus brew stands and propane burners, the Serial Killer adjustable 2-roller grain mill with 7-pound hopper, custom stainless steel false bottoms designed to fit kegels, coolers, and mini-sized brew pots. The brewers at Adventures in Homebrewing have designed a huge selection of original recipes for extract and all-grain brewing. Adventures in Homebrewing original recipes are tried and tested, proven to be of the best quality. And right now, Adventures in Homebrewing is shipping 24 of their best recipes for free. Visit homebrewing.org for the most current selection. Once you try one of Adventures in Homebrewing recipes, you'll keep coming back for more. And now, it's even easier with free shipping on these kits. Brewing Network listeners receive 10% off their homebrewing.org orders when they use coupon code IPA at checkout. See terms and conditions for full details.
You're listening to the Brewing Network. Because like beer, radio shouldn't suck.
Welcome back to the program, and thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. We are having a good time here at the Hop Grenade tonight. Hanging out with Will and Mari Kemper from Chuckanut. We got to have some really good beer from them. Maybe there's some other bottles floating around we still get to open. That'll be fun. We tasted Beardy's Kolsch at the break, too.
Yeah.
I feel like Beardy, is a great brewer and maybe shouldn't have brought out his Kolsch when we had Chuckanut Brewing Company is the same night that we had Chuckanut in the studio.
He
tries.
Timing has never been his thing.
Yeah. And the beer was fine. Like, had he brought out the beer next week, for example, we all might have gone, God damn it, Beardy, can't wait for your brewery to open. You got a great culture. But no, Beardy, being Captain Timing, goes, hey, guys, hey, guys, over here. No, here, I brought a Kolsch, too.
I also have a Pils.
I got Kolsch and a Pils, guys. Want to try it?
Well, see, I wanted Will Kemper's feedback.
I see.
And so I knew it wasn't going to compare. And I didn't bring it for you guys. I brought it for Will. And I was honored that he went back for seconds. And
I was just paraphrasing Will. And, Will was like, hey, I feel like Beardy shouldn't have brought out a Kolsch.
I didn't hear that.
You didn't hear
that? Did he say that? Oh.
The stereo was really loud out there.
Yeah.
And you're blind.
Right. I couldn't see his mouth.
He couldn't see his mouth. Hey, real quick, let me let you know about Beer Connoisseurs magazine, the Beer Connoisseur Club. They're just putting out, it's a Kickstarter campaign right now. You can join the Beer Connoisseur Club and be a founding member. You all know Beer Connoisseur magazine, great magazine. They give you a lot of good information, and they're now putting out the club. Founding membership, but you can join on Kickstarter now. Just go search the Beer Connoisseur Club. It ends July 16th, so this week, you got to get in now while you can. Your name will be recognized as a founding member in the fall magazine issue, and your membership includes a 1-year subscription to the Beer Connoisseur magazine, membership card proudly displaying your love of beer, discounts and incentives at the Beer Connoisseur Global Partners, access and discounts to beer events and festivals worldwide, online club community, invitations to club exclusive events, regular e-newsletters with member highlights, events, and newest partners. So go check out the Beer Connoisseur Club over on Kickstarter right now from our friends at Beer Connoisseur magazine. All right, so I told you we had a full show tonight. Usually I'm lying, but tonight I'm not lying. We've got even more guests than Chuckanut, more from Bellingham even. I don't know if this is just a weird coincidence that you guys are in town or if Moscow actually planned something. I don't know how that how that worked out. What we got? It's Menace Brewing.
It's Menace Brewing, yes.
But then it's Menace Brewing, and it's also Local Public House.
So the Local Public House and Menace Brewing are the same.
They're
the same business.
Okay.
We started the brewery first, and then a few years later started the restaurant pub.
So the brewery, Menace Brewing, is what you started first, and this is Ben Bucarelli.
Hi.
In the studio with us, and the next to Ben is Tom Radin.
Yep.
And then we've got a brewer of yours. Is that also who's here with Rob Whitney?
Rob Whitney is our taproom manager at the Local Public House. He takes care of all the beer ordering and staff handling and everything like that.
Excellent.
Yeah, I love beer, so I love people, and we'll just stay local and do it all the thing.
Excellent. He's also your spokesperson, I can tell.
That was rehearsed, wasn't it? He talks much better than both Tom and I.
He talks good.
talks good.
So let me just get through sort of the story that I have, and then you can help me the story. So we've got you guys on because you have a rather unique model at the brewery, and we thought it'd be interesting to talk about, especially because you're also from Bellingham, since we just had Chuckanut on. But Menace Brewing Company, I believe, was started to potentially be kind of an incubator for brewers, right? So not just a one-man show that you would be in there brewing, Ben, but to bring others into brew.
Well, so Menace Brewing actually started, like probably a lot of breweries, in my garage. Number of years back. And actually, no, the brewery was always just intended to be a brewery.
Okay.
What you're talking about is actually a project that we've launched recently, which is the Bellingham Beer Lab.
I see.
Which is going to be associated with our restaurant pub. And that is going to be a brewery incubator for home brewers. So it's kind of taking our already established business model one step further to kind of support the local homebrewing community and do something unique.
Okay.
So.
And this brewery portion that you're building, then, the Bellingham Brew Lab, is a nonprofit.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
The goal is to have it be a nonprofit and have the brewers, the home brewers that come through and brew their beer, sell the beer to our already established pub at an inflated price so that they can capitalize on what would be potential tap retail sales, and then that money from that beer is going to go to support local charities within the community.
And obviously, it both benefits the community in a lot of ways because we're giving back as much as we can, but it also bridges a major gap between so many homebrewers out there that want to, get their name out there, have people try their beer outside of just their friends,
sure,
and grow their brand a little bit.
But being able to brew commercially without spending $500,000.
Exactly.
But can they use their brand? I mean, they don't have a license to use the brand yet, do they?
No, it'll be completely in-house. So their representation will be through the Beer Lab, which will be...
So it'll be a Beer Lab Pale Ale brewed by XYZ Brewing Company or
yes,
something.
It will be a Bellingham Beer Lab beer.
Okay, fine.
Exactly. Yeah, you're on the right track.
But they can't use their brand.
No, they won't be able to sell outside of
or even mention a brand. I think it's without a license, I don't think.
In-house, I think it's a little different.
Okay.
Because
then you're just talking about a beer label, essentially.
Exactly.
Like a name of a beer.
Right.
Yes.
All right, so it'll be named after their brewery.
Yeah, the name of the beer will be the brand that they are representing.
This makes sense. Yeah. Does every brewer get their face or a caricature of themselves on the tap handle or label? Because Tasty only brews if that happens.
No, but my lady friend, who is an artist, we have a Kickstarter going right now to help raise some funds for the last minute details of this project. I think we have a pledge mark on there where she will actually draw a caricature of you, which will hang in the pub.
Yes.
So if you do want something like that, head on over to Kickstarter. Yeah, make a contribution, and
I could order
you'll find yourself immortalized.
Nice.
In our
immortalized.
pub.
I like that shit.
Does she do caricatures, or is this her first one?
No, she's actually a pretty talented artist. I don't know what she's doing.
More importantly, is your lady friend just a friend of yours, or you haven't decided what the title? You two haven't discussed.
I'm sure she's listening right now.
She's your girlfriend, or
we actually been married for 10 years.
But she doesn't like those kind of labels.
This is an agreed upon terminology that we use. Lady friend, man friend. It's
you guys are complicated.
No,
kids these days are complicated.
It's just not girlfriend boyfriend. What's right? Yeah, lady friend, man friend.
But she uses the term man friend
because you're adults.
Does she say
exactly?
But she says man friend.
Yeah.
Because I bet she gets more shit than I'm giving you. My Manfred, people are like,
I will
really?
that out of your presence, she never says his Manfred. Let's call her right now.
Yeah,
Let's call her.
we could.
I'll pretend to be the banker. Do it.
How long have you been together?
2 years.
Okay. This is right. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to clear that.
By the way, I bring it up just so you know. Kate the Great and I have we have this issue as well sometimes too, because it sounds we've been together for I don't even know 7, 8 years, 9 years, a long time, and girlfriend sounds weird, life partner sounds stupid, lady friend doesn't quite cut it. We never know, so I'm making fun of you for my own sake.
This girl I know. Once you get older, a boyfriend doesn't work. It's like,
yeah,
it's a fucking man, isn't he?
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Manfred.
There's a lot of boy in this man.
Yeah. Wow. That's a party.
All right, so back to the now. Let me just make sure I have the full picture. So Menace Brewing still exists as a brewery in Bellingham.
It does.
In your garage?
It's slightly north of Bellingham now. We have a small, it's about 700 square feet, really small space in a business park north of town. And we have a 5-barrel system in there now.
Nice.
We brew 4 barrels on it just because that's where fermentation capacity.
Okay.
But just a little manufacture facility. And, it's just north of town. And then Bellingham is home to the local public house.
Yeah. And that brewery mostly just serves local public house. I assume Menace Brewing, the beer goes there.
Most of our beer goes there, but we do more volume than that. So actually we try and incorporate local beers from around the region. So we carry all the other breweries in Bellingham, Whatcom County. We try and stay as close to home as possible, and then just kind of go out in concentric circles.
Nice.
Trying to stay as local as we can with our wares.
Yeah.
So
okay.
This goes that's in our glasses. You brewed that at the business park location.
Yeah, and this one is great because this is the first beer that we did as a collaboration to kind of with the future Bellingham Beer Lab members. As a way to kind of raise awareness about what we're doing and get some beer, to get some product out there. So this is the first Goza that I've ever done, first kettle sour beer that I've ever done, and I pulled it off the fermenter kind of early, and
to bring here or in general
to bring here.
Okay,
yeah. So it's actually still in primary right now.
All right.
I crashed it down, put some CO2 on it, just so I could have something.
I guess I'll take care of the secondary for you.
Yeah, that's right. You're now secondary.
I'll feel that later on tonight.
Yeah. Ooh, it's nice and tart.
It's like a probiotic.
It has like a super significant tart and a super significant salt. A lot of Gozas lately, I feel like, are kind of pussing out on both of those things. This one's in your face with it. I like it.
The salt. Some details. The salt is, I bought it at our local spice hut. It came from a rock quarry in Utah.
Okay.
And
it's Mormon salt.
The hops are Idaho Hallertauer. So
nice.
It's pretty accurate, I guess.
Yeah.
One of our partners who in the beer lab, who actually is a Mormon, wanted to jokingly call it Joseph Smith.
Nice. I would have loved that. That's hilarious.
So we said no, just PR's sake, but
sure. Sissy.
Polygamy.
Yeah, because you could have sold every drop in Utah.
Yeah. So the lineage of this is a homebrewer who did this as a homebrew, and then he came into your brewery and did.
Well, he was much more than that.
Well, this beer was a collaboration of the existing members that we've kind of compiled to be the start of the beer lab.
Homebrewers. But am I correct? Are they homebrewers?
They are. They're homebrewers. Yeah. But the lacto culture that we used to kettle sour this was cultured by one of those
guys.
Yeah. Cool. So.
All right. So this was kind of a start to this project, the Bellingham Beer Lab. So. What is the future of the Bellingham? Do you have to raise money still, or
we are? Yeah, right now we are in fundraising mode. We are looking to expand into the space next to us that has recently become available, and the goal is to kind of expand our existing tap room and then flesh out a really habitable space for what is going to be this nonprofit organization.
I see.
So.
I love the idea, especially that I think you mentioned that every batch of beer brewed, does the homebrewer get to pick a local charity for the proceeds to go to?
We're going to have some core charities that we're trying to give a decent amount of it. But, of course, homebrewers coming in, volunteering their time, we want to make sure that they certainly get some say in where
They
it
can
goes.
suggest, hey, I'd like.
So
yeah,
we're starting out with a few core charities that we're donating to, but of course, as homebrewers come through and as the whole project progresses, it'll open up opportunity to donate to other charities within Bellingham and the community.
Have you looked into what it takes to be a 501c3? And I don't mean just the license, but I mean sort of the ongoing operational aspects of being a nonprofit.
So yes, we have a little bit, and we're kind of in the benefit that the Bellingham Beer Lab is not a brand new idea. We can't take credit for that.
Okay.
So actually, we're revitalizing an old idea that was this just a cooperative brewery in Bellingham, an incubator, so to speak. And the project had great momentum, and then it kind of fell flat.
Okay.
And it's our goal to kind of pump some new life into it. And the accountant for the old beer lab is our accountant, and she's had a lot of experience with starting nonprofits. And she's kind of been our guiding force in directing us to the correct paperwork, helping us fill out the projections for the year, this is where everything goes, and setting it up right. So
got it.
It is a daunting task, and is right now we are in fundraising mode, but we're also in paperwork mode. So
sure.
Why not for profit?
Well, I think that one of the major problems. I don't want to say problems, and we weren't necessarily involved in that project a lot, but the original Bellingham Beer Lab had a lot of different hands in the business that they were trying to create for profit. And when there's that many different hands, that many different investors, that many people looking for returns and everything else, it starts to
fall apart.
Yeah. And what we're trying to do with the not-for-profit is essentially the same thing, where different homebrewers and different brewers get to come in and brew their product.
Just community-oriented.
They get to choose where that goes.
Sure.
They get to choose where their efforts go. They get to choose, where their talent, whatever you want to call it, what it benefits.
Okay.
So, and of course, we're the ones establishing the infrastructure to do that.
Right.
And that, I think, was a huge thing that they struggled with a little bit. Where are we going to get the funds? Where are we going to create this infrastructure to create this thing with so many hands, moving parts that are trying to create it?
So in that sense, the good part about a nonprofit is that it is very structured and very regulated. And they tell you exactly what you're allowed to do and how you're supposed to do it. It's just part of the law. That's why the nonprofits exist. The difficulty you run into that you guys are probably looking into now and finding out is that because they tell you exactly how you're supposed to do things and what you're allowed to do, is that it's a very regulated process. You have to have a board of directors. There's tons of accountability. You have to submit, lots and lots of paperwork, not just in the application process, but ongoing about where your money's going and how it's being utilized, and because you're a tax exempt organization, right? So, and forgive me if I'm not specifically trying to tell you guys, I'm more telling our listeners how because you're a tax exempt organization, then the federal government really gives a shit about why you're a tax exempt.
They have the right to put you under some scrutiny at that point.
Yeah, and they do, as far as I understand it, on a quarterly basis. Like, you're really submitting a lot of things. So I don't envy you the process you're about to embark on, but I do think it's a great idea. And the first part of what I said is how it does sort of alleviate the problem you talked about with too many chefs in the kitchen, because you're only allowed to do what they say you're allowed to do. It's part of the process. So nobody can come in as part of this co-op or this nonprofit or the board of directors and ask for something that's illegal. I mean, you just tell them, no, it's illegal. They can't ask to take money out. They can't ask to do this. You can't give it here. You can't do that. And that, I think, will be beneficial to you. And so partly to answer your question, Scott, I think that makes it the perfect structure for an organization that you're talking about, where you're bringing in several different people to work on it. Because you don't just get to take money out because you think you're worth it.
Do you also not have to pay excise tax on the beer, also, like the per barrel typical tax, or is it just income tax?
We're not even at that point yet.
Oh, okay.
We're still filling out the nonprofit paperwork, and if that is the case, then that'd be great. But
yeah, I'd be interested to
there will
find
be a
that
lot
out.
of other breweries just opening non-for-profit if they don't have to pay excise tax per barrel.
I'm sure there's
after
some sort of way they still stick it to you there. So.
Yeah, you're not tax exempt from everything just
Right.
because you're a nonprofit. It's a really good question, Beardy.
Just income tax?
Washington already is income tax free, isn't it? Oh, it's state income tax.
Yeah.
State. Yeah.
Yeah, but the 501 comes from the feds.
Yeah. Is co-op and nonprofit, are those interchangeable terms?
Not at all. A co-op, I believe, can be a nonprofit, but is not necessarily.
Okay.
In fact, I think most often co-ops are for-profit organizations that are just structured in a way that it's shared. So I could never really get maybe it's my own fault for how I was interviewing, but Austin has that co-op, the
Black Star.
Black Star Co-op, and they seem to be really thriving. Have just produced this great co-op, but I still don't understand their structure exactly and how funds are distributed and how anybody's making money. And like you said, that's the tough part when there's a lot of chefs in the kitchen. Everybody wants a little piece of the pie, but the nonprofit seems like the way to go if that's how you're doing it.
It's going to be really cool, and I think having the already established business helping champion this idea really helps us fill in a lot of those gaps.
Sure.
And push it forward where they kind of had trouble organizing it before.
Yeah, having this local public house as sort of a home base where the beer can be served and talked about and you can tell a story there, that's really clutch, because otherwise you're relying on press releases and the media and word of mouth, right?
It would be a very different attempt if we didn't have some kind of a established entity to show, what we've done and what we're about and what we're trying to do and move forward.
Sure. So between Menace and the Public House, are these your full-time jobs for the two of you? And now you're taking on this other endeavor? I'm just trying to get a feel.
Well, sort of. Yeah, for me right now, yes, because I am brewing all the beer at the brewery and doing sales, distribution, everything from ordering grain to packaging product.
Yeah.
And so, it has been a very full-time thing for me. It's also a very full-time thing for Tom, but he's actually working a second job right now.
Okay.
And as far as when we got the local public house open and everything, I fell very quickly into the more of the paperwork, accounting, payroll, all that kind of stuff.
Sounds awesome.
And it's a lot of fun. And after we were open for about a year, I finally went out and got a second job, and I still do everything that I was doing, but there's certain aspects where I've set back. There's certain things that crafty things. I like building things, welding, woodwork, and that kind of stuff. So, I'd love to put more time into that kind of stuff for the restaurant and bar, but
and it would be great if he had more time to do it, because some of his work is amazing. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of the pub, but a lot of the carpentry and metalwork that's been done has been done by Tom.
Okay.
We've had some outside friends and things like that come in, carpenters and whatnot, but Tom's actually built our entire brew system.
Wow.
He built our kettle, our mash tun, fabricated pretty much all my grants. Everything that I use at the brewery has been made by this guy.
What the fuck do you do?
I transfer liquid around, man.
Okay,
Well, you're getting homebrewers to come in and brew the beer, even.
Right.
So.
You're giving up that part.
But it's been amazing, and we actually, Tom and I were talking about it the other day. We're pretty blessed in that the scrapyard in Bellingham.
It's just scrap metal.
Yeah, it's a quality place. It's called Z's Recycling, and they get a lot of. I'll let Tom talk about it. But
I go out there and it's like Christmas morning. There are so many dairy, tri-clamp fittings. Different tanks, grants.
Potential grants.
Potential.
Like that,
Well, they need a little bit of work, but that's where I come in.
That's great.
Walking through that scrapyard it's fun.
Does Tom ever come back with like this fucked up looking, and you're like, really, Tom, we're going to make that thing work?
We actually have a pact now that we're not really allowed to go out there without each other.
Nice. Yeah. Because of the shit you come back with?
Yeah, we've accumulated quite a few things that are have potential.
I'll go out there in nice clothes, and I'm walking out with like all these muddy tri-clamp
Rusty,
fittings in my
muddy,
arms.
yeah.
He comes
Okay.
back. He's like, "Hey, look what I got! Look what we can do with these."
So where can people go to look at pictures of the pub and Menace Brewing?
Right now, just our Facebooks. We
Okay.
don't have a traditional website, to our fault.
So
but-
Facebook would be search Menace Brewing Company. And what about the pub? It's called
The Local Public House.
The Local Public House. Okay, so you can search
I think
both.
it comes up under the local
Public, yeah.
They're in a lot of them.
Got it.
And the Kickstarter for the Beer Lab, the Beer Lab actually has its own Facebook page now.
Okay.
And you can actually, there's a really dorky video of Tom and I, which was shot actually by Rob over there.
Okay.
He put together the video that's on the Kickstarter that tells you kind of about our project. But you can go to Kickstarter.com and search Bellingham Beer Lab and get a little bit more insight and some visuals into what we're all about.
See our handsome faces.
Yeah. When does the Kickstarter end?
The end of July.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your goal?
We're asking for $25,000.
Wow.
Which is
pretty modest.
Yeah. Well, we actually thought it was quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
We really toiled over how much to ask for, and there's a lot of dialogue on Kickstarter saying if you're going to start one of these, make sure you parse it down to exactly what you need.
Mm-hmm.
And we really toiled over the numbers and what we actually needed. And at the end of the day, it was like, well, if we're going to do this right, this is what we need. So.
And there is an aspect of doing it right and just doing it.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to do it right. We want to set up the adequate facilities or above adequate.
Mm-hmm.
We over the years, of course, doing what we do, we've collected a decent amount of equipment. But
so you're going to build the brewery, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. How large of a system would you like to?
1 barrel.
A 1 barrel system.
Yeah, 1 barrel all electric, so we don't have to deal with open flame in the city.
Okay, electric too. Nice.
Yeah. We're trying to cycle through as many homebrewers as we can.
And one aspect of doing that means streamlining it and making it as easy and user friendly as it can be.
Right. I mean, I assume one of you or somebody will have to be there every time. But how will homebrewers apply?
So the way it's going to be set up is right now we've actually already vetted about 4 guys, just homebrew guys that we know, friends of ours, people we trust to know how to work the system and do it well.
Okay.
Those are going to be our 4 operating members and our board of directors, essentially. Our 5th member is going to be the Bellingham Homebrewers Guild, which is the local homebrew club.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that 5th member is going to cycle through people from the homebrew club.
Okay.
And it's up to them to vet the people that they send to us. And there's a couple stipulations. They have to be active, dues-paying members of the club, which kind of helps the club do their thing.
Sure.
And when they send a member to us to brew in the open slots, it's up to the established brewer members to kind of chaperone them and make sure that everything goes according to plan.
Yeah.
So
I love this idea. Sounds like a great idea. And very local, like you said. You really are trying to be a part of the community. So it's not like you're soliciting homebrewers from New York. This is part of the Bellingham homebrewing scene that you're getting involved with.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, other charities that you might donate money to as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bellingham is a very community-oriented place.
Well, the cool thing about Bellingham and some of the charities that we're helping is that they actually help beer. So we have one of the organizations that we're going to sponsor is called the Max Higbee Center, and they do job placement for developmentally disabled adults.
Okay.
And they throw a festival every year called April Brews Day. And what they do is they put together this great beer festival.
And I think they've been doing it for
10 years.
10 years.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And it's grown and grown and grown every year. And they help cultivate Bellingham beer. And so we wanted to give back to them in our project because they're a close affiliate with the culture.
Okay.
So
do the adults just sit and think of beer puns like that?
Yes.
Sorry.
I hope so because I could use a lot more names for my beer.
Yeah, we need it. What's the population-ish of Bellingham?
I just looked it up.
Right? Oh, you did?
No, it's about 80.
Oh, 80. Oh, it's
4.
Okay. Because I've never been, but after talking to Chuckanut and the Moskowitz family and then folks like you come in here, I just picture it this like tiny community of friends.
Everybody's
a
smaller.
friend.
It feels smaller than
84 people.
Does it? Yeah. It's 84. Yeah.
It's a small town. We've got the college right there, pretty much almost downtown, and there's the downtown community, but there's a lot of suburbs around it and stuff. There's a pretty decent amount of people up there.
Okay.
And that's something cool that you actually reminded me of is that Western Washington University, where talking to them right now. So they have an extended education program that is, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Fairhaven or Evergreen College in Washington.
No.
It's a create your own major college.
I love it. Love this.
So we are actually trying to work with them right now to get them to help us make this happen, because we're looking at starting an actual accredited beer school.
Okay.
And we're looking to be the laboratory.
The lab for it, yeah.
That
makes sense.
And so we have some contacts actually through the Homebrewers Guild who are actually communicating right now with the college and helping us make that hopefully happen.
I love it.
So everyone I knew in college did major in beer. It just wasn't official, and you're saying we're making it official.
I think I have a minor in that also.
Right.
Yeah,
so I designed my own major, and look how far I've come. Yeah.
The vetting process. So if I'm a homebrewer and I hear that, I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to get vetted, what does that mean? You're going to taste my beer? What does it mean?
So the folks that we have that are helping us get this off the ground, that are going to be the operating members of the nonprofit. Those are just friends of mine, homebrewers that I know that are in the community, people that I've personally kind of vetted. The homebrewers that come through the guild, the stipulations are yet to be determined, but we're thinking something like active member of the Homebrewers Guild, dues-paying member, and we're thinking about adding a couple things like you have to have entered at least a couple competitions.
Yeah.
You got to accrue some point. Show us that you're real serious. Show us that you don't necessarily have to place or take home medals, but show us that you put some effort into this.
Something more than just sharing your beer with your neighbors.
Exactly.
Kind of a thing. Yeah,
Well,
that makes sense.
Yeah, or they could just have a club only sort of competition where amongst themselves they, ask you what you want to make, what you want to have on tap. They make an American Brown, for instance, and they decide which of theirs is the best, and that guy gets to go on and brew the beer at your place.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Ben was saying, we're still kind of talking out the details, but there's going to be some curriculum. There's going to be some
criteria.
Yeah.
Will they have to do more than just show up for brew day? Will they also have to carry it through the cellar and actually package it, and if it's dry hop it, or do whatever else? Or is that going to be kind of the operating members?
Yeah, no, they're supposed to come brew, stop in, a number of times throughout the coming weeks to see that beer through and make sure it's done to their standards. I mean, obviously we want to set up a really clean facility and everything else, but we want to showcase their beer. We don't want them to do the hot side and then we'll take it from there. We want to let them create something.
Cool.
Will the brewers get paid at all for their time, or just 100% of the proceeds go to charity?
The latter.
Yeah.
So the homebrewers, that's another stipulation. Actually, everybody that we have on board right now is completely comfortable with volunteering their time to make this happen.
Okay.
And then all the brewers that come from the Homebrewers Guild will be brewing by volunteer. And we're working through the details of, because it gets a little hairy with liability and things like that. And so we're actually working with our insurance company and our accountant and other advisors who are helping us work through the details of being able to have people come in like that and pull off a product with abiding by the law.
Yeah.
So.
It's really interesting. Like I know that Scott, we've talked about all the regulations on for-profit businesses and how difficult it can be to do this or that.
Yep.
It is far more difficult when you're working with volunteers.
Yeah.
That you can't just have people come into your brewery and do whatever. And then when it's really crazy the amount of regulations once you start dealing with a nonprofit situation.
And it's for that reason you mentioned, which is we want the people not to volunteer. We want them to make wages so we can then tax the wages. And if that's not happening, we really need to know why.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a bit of that, and then there's also just insurance reasons because
liability is huge.
Right.
Yeah, who's responsible for all of this? It really goes on and on. And by the way, I asked that about a wage because I'm not against anybody working within a nonprofit making a wage, and the nonprofit structure doesn't say that you can't get paid for working within a nonprofit. You very much can. It just has to be part of the structure, the planned structure.
And we'll kind of see what happens over time. We might find out that there are a couple members of this initial group that are really putting in the extra effort. They're kind of heading up the organization, facilitating everything, working with the schedule. And over time, the next couple of years, they might be that person that becomes an employee, a paid employee of the nonprofit. But right now, to get it off the ground, we're just, pinching the pennies and
sure.
And it's and before that happens, it's going to be interesting to see who stands out.
Well, and you do want the best people. This is somewhat near and dear to my heart because my lady friend
nice word.
works in the nonprofit industry, and she kind of brought this to my attention some years ago, where people like to complain about what people make in nonprofits, and people think that those who work in nonprofits should make nothing. And if they find out that they're making $250,000 a year to run a nonprofit organization, they get really upset about that. But wouldn't you want the most qualified people, the best people working in these kind of social service industries? Because otherwise they just go on to the for-profit businesses. If they can be a CEO at Google and make $250,000, why would they stick around at an organization that maybe does some social good? And so she kind of really brought it to my attention that it's a silly way to look at nonprofits, that people who work within them shouldn't be highly qualified, very talented, and then compensated for that talent just like they would in the rest of the world. Because if we don't compensate them, they're out of here. And even though we're not talking about some like curing cancer organization that you guys are creating, you still want the most talented people producing this beer that would then raise more money for the local charities. It's a trickle down sort of effect.
Absolutely, and it's going to be a small not-for-profit business, and we're going to have different avenues for revenue, and everything from selling beer to brewing classes and educational courses and that kind of stuff. And that's probably over brewing very small batches. That's probably where we're going to show slightly higher numbers.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with everything you're saying. Things get a little bit questionable when 99% of the income for the nonprofit ends up going towards marketing and administrative.
I want to point out, she's totally right. The point is well taken. People like to complain about what people make in the private sector, too. People just like to complain in general. Oh, the CEO made 20 times what that worker... It happens in both.
Well, that's because somebody's doing better than they are.
Right, which is unacceptable.
Yeah, that's true. It's just from a nonprofit standpoint, it's always something that nonprofits have to defend. They have to go... They have to feel guilty and defend that they get paid to do their job. It's a constant sort of barrage from the public. And I had never really thought about it that way until she pointed out to me that way. And so now whenever nonprofits come up, I always ask who's getting paid. And not because I'm from the side that nobody should get paid, but because of the opposite.
Well, at this point, nobody, but that's only because we are an already established business who's championing this idea.
That's tricky too.
We're gonna work through all the logistics of making it clean cut, separate entities, all that. But we're going to be donating a lot of our time as members of these other businesses. Where we're getting compensation. Tom's still got a second job, so. We're not going to be drawing off this thing at all.
Yeah. Well, where is that clean cut? Where is that line of demarcation? That is, how much will the existing business protect the not-for-profit? Will you charge the not-for-profit per pint to pour the beer in your outlets across your taps, or
the way it's going to work, and that we've talked to our accountant about, which seems the cleanest,
is just to buy the beer.
Is to buy the beer at a marked up price, at a premium. So we'll buy the kegs from the nonprofit at a almost per pint price, so $200 6 barrels essentially. We're talking elevated prices.
Sure,
but I think the local is going to we will be charging the nonprofit entity a portion of rent. It will have overhead. It will have a small amount of overhead,
but they'll pay for that with their $5 per pint.
Exactly. So it'll have its numbers. It'll work like a business, but it'll also have really, really, really small overhead when compared to normal business.
Sure. So then the public house will sell that beer at a retail price and keep that money. The money that goes to charity is from buying the wholesale.
Exactly. Okay. And essentially the wholesale purchase price is going to be based off of
it'll be elevated. I understand.
And we have to and as a business we have to charge them some sort of rent to keep that line drawn between our business and the nonprofit, because the nonprofit's going to be a completely separate entity subletting from this facility that we basically landlord improved for them.
So we have to do that here, and we are two for-profit businesses here, but the Brewing Network sublets from the Hop Grenade for this room that we're sitting in, and just to keep things separate that way, it always has to be done that way. And you're right, then even more so with a nonprofit, they have to be separate.
Yeah, very clean lines.
We'll get through all this paperwork, and I'm not looking forward to it. I'll be honest, but you going licensing the brewery and the pub and dealing with all that. You guys know. Starting a business, the paperwork involved, dealing with the city, permits, everything. It's a headache, and we're definitely not looking forward to it. But this is what we want to do, and we're prepared. We have experience doing all of this.
Yeah.
We're just going to do it again. It's going to be a little bit harder this time, but we're a little more savvy. So,
well, when Tom's done with all that work and then finds you down at the beach and says, "Hey, we're ready to go," I'm really excited for you guys.
I'll be drinking beer at the brewery.
Just be chilling out. All right, so people can go to Kickstarter right now and they can search Bellingham Beer Lab.
Absolutely, and we have a really, like I said, our video.
Sounds like an exciting video already.
Come on. It's a great video. We talk about where we came from, how the brewery started, how the locals started, and where we see this thing moving.
Okay.
So get on there, watch it, and
help us make this happen.
Check it out. I know we have some Washington and we have some Bellingham listeners tuned in tonight. So this is your local project. Go take a look at it. And if you think it's worth supporting, then I think you should do so. It'll be fun to see how it progresses. Keep us up to date, guys. I'd like to know.
Absolutely.
If you're outside Bellingham, you should still contribute because if this concept works, it could work anywhere.
That's true.
And it is the first in Washington State, and I'd like to say the first type of its kind of project that I've heard of.
So we did actually on our way down here. So we drove from Bellingham yesterday. We got in about 2 a.m. last night.
Okay.
But on the way we stopped in Portland. We stopped a couple of places.
Nice.
But we stopped at Ex Novo in Portland, which is a nonprofit brewery operating in Oregon. They're kind of the same because they have dual parts of their business. They have a restaurant that's a business.
Okay.
For profit. And they have the brewery that's nonprofit.
Nice.
And so we stopped in to talk to them and pick their brain. We had a couple beers. We weren't able to talk to anybody because they just had their 1-year anniversary, and we were told that everyone was under the weather. So we've been seeking out other close businesses that have similar sort of structures and trying to pick people's brain and figure out as much as we can because it is sort of an unprecedented thing and charting new waters is scary, especially when you're dealing with government regulations.
It is going to be tricky. I do think the one thing you have going for you is that the government still knows very, very little about breweries. They have no idea what's happening. Even Kickstarter campaigns for for-profit businesses. I was just reading a whole article about this last week where the IRS really hasn't made a firm statement about what those donations to Kickstarter campaigns mean. And for the most part, I think they've decided that they mean it's a gift. In other words, if I'm going to start a brewery tomorrow and open a Kickstarter campaign and I make $100,000, it's tax exempt.
Is that true?
It's true until the IRS decides it's not true.
Right.
And essentially the way the IRS works, it kind of the same way the ABC works is just because we didn't say it doesn't mean it's not it.
We haven't said it yet. Right. So, but in the meantime, if you ran a Kickstarter campaign a year ago, you got your money tax-free?
And still right now, if that is how your accountant decides to account for it, and most CPAs are doing that at this time. Of course, then it depends on how you spend that money. But if you spend it correctly, because the IRS has not made, and this is all according to an article I read. Okay, so but it was from a reputable magazine, and they were basically saying that it's still a little bit of the Wild West because the IRS hasn't said what to do. And I think in general, the IRS and the feds. They still have no idea what to do with breweries. They're still figuring it out. So you might have a little bit of leeway there just because they don't know what the fuck to do with you either.
They don't know what to do with a lot of things.
Tax it.
Yeah.
Tax. So, yeah, exactly.
Well, I do wish you luck. It's exciting to see. And go to Kickstarter right now and search Bellingham Beer Lab. And the Goza is wonderful.
Yeah, we got some other beers from them to drink later, too.
All right, well, we're coming back for another segment. So you guys are welcome to stick around with us if you want. We're going to do what Drunk of the Week calls when we come back. So hang out, and we'll come back, do some Drunk of the Week.
I'll get my carrot peeler ready.
We'll do our Twitter game and maybe try some more, is it Menace beer that we're trying?
It would be Menace beer,
yeah. All right, we'll try some more Menace. Hang in there. It's The Session. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Brewcasters. On the Brewing Network.
Attention home brewers, if you like making labels for your handcrafted awesomeness and wished more people could see how great you are, then check this out. GrogTag, the makers of custom reusable labels, and craftbeerandbrewing.com are hosting the first ever National Homebrew Label Awards. The top 10 labels will be featured at the 2015 National Homebrewers Conference in San Diego to more than 5,000 attendees, and more than $2,500 in prizes will be awarded. If you've created a label at any time in the past year, you're eligible to enter. GrogTag and Craft Beer and Brewing have teamed up with great sponsors like More Beer and the Brewing Network to make this competition a great one to enter. Submit your entries between March 1st and June 1st for your chance at fortune and glory at homebrewlabelawards.com. That's homebrewlabelawards.com. Submit your label entries today. Good luck, and we'll see you in San Diego. Beer tasting games that train your palate, a brewery locator, and the brand new interactive beer style guide. These are just a few of the awesome things you'll find on craftbeer.com. The style guide is a beautiful example of technology in beer. Browse beer style families or turn on the automatic beer style finder and explore beer through color, bitterness, ABV, aroma, and flavor. It's really the coolest way to explore every beer style besides having them all in front of you. Go to craftbeer.com and click on Beer Styles to start the guide. Plus, enjoy the rest of craftbeer.com, the Brewers Banter blogs, beer education, how to host a beer tasting, and the invaluable Draft Quality Manual. Tons of great content that makes your beer better. Visit the new craftbeer.com right now and explore the website that brings you all the passion, camaraderie, and creativity of the craft beer community. Craftbeer.com, celebrating the best of American beer. Are you looking for a simple brewing system that's great for all grain brewing, but everything on the market seems to be full of compromises? Blickman Engineering has the answer. The Blickman Brew Easy All Grain Brewing System. The Brew Easy is a complete system with easy upgrades and a beautiful compact design, perfect for any size brewing location. At its core, the Brew Easy is built on two gorgeous Blickman Boilermaker brew kettles, a high-temperature March pump, and either a top-tier gas burner or the new Boil Coil electric heater. The Brew Easy adapter lid allows the pots to stack on top of each other, forming an efficient, strong, and compact brewing setup that comes in 5, 10, and 20-gallon batch sizes. Upgrade your Brew Easy system with full automated control by adding a Blickman Tower of Power temp controller, and make moving around easy with the Blickman Kettle Cart. The Brew Easy is modular. If you already own a Boilermaker kettle, you can build your Brew Easy by purchasing just the modules you need. The new Brew Easy all-grain brewing system. See it today at BlickmanEngineering.com and brew with Blickman quality on your new Brew Easy. Williams Brewing is your online resource for prompt delivery of quality home brewing supplies. Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and the freshest ingredients, backed by the best customer service in the business. Do you like to mash using efficient fly sparging, but would like an easy way to heat your strike and sparge water? Enter the new Brewer's Edge electric mash water heater, a plug-in, anywhere, precisely controlled heater for strike and sparge water. Ditch the fumes and second burner and make mashing easy. Go to williamsbrewing.com today and browse their vast selection. That's williamsbrewing.com. Orders placed by 4 p.m. Pacific Time weekdays ship the same day. Brewing is easy the Williams way.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters. This is Jamel Zainashev, and I want to tell you about Heretic Evil Twin. You might be familiar with my homebrew recipe, which uses massive late hopping to create a balance between the malty sweet and the hoppy bitter, along with an outrageous malt and hop character. I wanted a beer with the same bold hop and malt character, so we played around with the homebrew recipe until we were able to make a great commercial version too. We've created a beer rich in malt character, full of caramel, toast, biscuit, and an ever so subtle roast note. On top of that, we piled in an insane amount of Citra and Columbus hops at the end of the boil, as well as in dry hopping. This damn-the-cost approach to hopping gives Heretic's Evil Twin a great blast of citrus and tropical fruit that can't be matched by any other hop. The result is a bold, malty, hoppy, but easy-drinking beer. This is our top seller, our flagship beer, and I couldn't be prouder of it. Cheers.
To find Heretic beers near you, click on Find Some at hereticbrewing.com.
Segmented, demented, fermented.
It's the session.
Yes, welcome back. Couple things to do. Drunk of the Week voicemails, huh?
Yep.
What's our number? 855-WIN-DOTW. You can call all week long, anytime. We don't care when you're drunk. You can call us, you can leave a message, and this is how we do the new Drunk of the Week, which apparently is very popular, according to our feedback segment this week.
Hey, 100% of people that wrote in hate it.
But I also loved it. I couldn't... They said it was awesome, but
I
hated
think it was
it.
sarcastic.
Was it?
It's hard to tell tone in email.
It could have been a drunk email.
It could have, yes. Yeah, that's
so that
true.
could be like a thing.
It's a whole other segment.
Right.
Drunk email of the week. Drunk emailer.
And then you want to gouge your eyes out with your potato peeler, carrot peeler.
Is there a difference between
No, I think it's a potato peeler.
Yeah,
See,
but who calls them carrot peelers?
I think it's just a peeler.
Right.
It's a peeler.
You can use it on carrots or potatoes.
Interesting.
Or human skin, even. I mean, whatever strikes your fancy.
Or ears.
Carrots.
Yeah. Well, and really, nobody ever calls it a carrot peeler, right? Except for this drunk emailer.
I like how we're judging him.
For his peeler titling.
Well, forget carrot peeler. What about this room? Do we find them interesting and entertaining?
No.
I'm not married to the idea. I just thought,
Oh, no, I like them. I thought they were fine, especially because we get to weed out the somewhat boring ones.
Right,
So-
which I have been doing.
We've only done it once, I think, haven't we?
No, we've done it several times.
We have?
Well,
It's very
to JP,
memorable.
it feels like 100.
No,
I
we haven't done it more than like twice.
I think it's 3 times.
No, we've
3 times.
Several.
I don't think so. I keep
Yeah.
skipping
A
it.
few.
Like I skipped it I skipped it for the last 2 weeks.
That's not
We
true.
did it the
No, I don't
last
think-
show,
yeah.
and then the 2 before that, yes, you had skipped. But I think we're at 3.
Okay.
But either way, so JP, you hate them? You think they're boring?
No, I think that, going off the ones last week, most of those were really boring, yeah. But overall, I think they're fun. I mean, we've done voicemails since almost month 1 or whatever, whenever we were able to. So the concept is great, but I think
They're still waiting for quality drunks.
If I'm being frank, we could use some quality checks.
Well, let's see what we have.
Well, we had the really angry guy. He was good.
Yes. He won, right?
He did win.
Or did the depressed guy win?
The depressed guy won.
The one he's now dead, right?
Yeah, Zach, I think was his
Oh, no,
name.
he
yeah.
emailed me and said he was still alive.
Oh, that's
Okay.
good.
Yeah, he
Zach-
was like, thanks.
Well, now
and
you
by
can-
the way, I'm alive.
You can write emails and send them for the future, so you don't actually know.
Oh, that's true. He might not be alive now.
Oh, right.
How was the tone of the email like? Hey, don't worry. Still fucking here.
No, he was like really juiced.
Oh, okay.
I said juiced.
Wow.
He's in the
You
gym
did.
right now. He's a gym rat.
So,
All right, what do we have?
Zach had the stop drinking problem.
Yeah.
He didn't much care for stopping drinking. Okay, so here, so Tour is back. Remember Tour rode his bike in the rain and got the door slammed on him.
Oh, heavens.
So he called this week. And Tour, please, if you call in again, back off the phone because it's a little harsh at first.
All right.
Hey, this is Tor from Denmark. 7.2%. Drinking proper imperial pints all night. And I just want to say, JP, I love you. You're a twat, but I really love you.
Yeah.
And the rest of you, suck a dick.
He kept it short and sweet this time.
There you go.
No wonder JP hates these.
That's a proper drunk of the week call.
Okay, all right.
Short and sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much like drunks. They're always
concise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Concise guy of the week.
All right, here's another one.
Hey, fuckers. JP is right. Craft beer sucks. Homebrew sucks. I've had so much shitty homebrew, so much shitty craft beer.
God.
JP is right.
Yeah.
All right, and
That is
another
a-
very short and sweet one.
I'm going to get that on a T-shirt. The entire text.
This is a way better drunk of the week segment than last week.
Super angry.
Yeah. So far, it's 2 for 2.
JP is right.
Okay.
I'll be using that.
Yeah, drop that and send it to Taryn, please.
Okay, I will. All right, here's one that is not as short. Oh, come on.
I hate it already.
What are we doing here?
Things are
Have
going
you
so
ever fucking called this shit before? You do not ever, like, you're asking for people to DOT dub. So why would you ever? Oh, by the way, this is B-double-E. Why would you ever?
Wait, was that the sound of a bee?
I think he was trying to buzz. like a drum roll.
How do you spell that? That's his
B-double-E,
foreign name.
he said.
B-double-E.
DOT dub.
Yeah. You're asking people to
Why
DOT
would you
dub.
ever ask people to push buttons when they're drunk as fuck on their smartphones? And wait. I don't want to hear from my girlfriend right now. I don't want to hear from my fiance right now. I don't even want to hear from my, little side dish right now. Fuck you. I just want to hit, that button. And why would you make that fucking button be so goddamn motherfucking hard to hit?
So
number 2.
Okay. Sorry, BW.
Number 3.
And then that was it. He hung up.
So clearly he means when you call the Drunk of the Week line, you have to press 1 for it goes like
Apparently.
this. Thank you for calling. Press 1 for Drunk of the Week, and then it goes on to several other things. But the first choice
is what you have to do.
Yes.
Well, and I like how he's disparaging our design of his smartphone.
Can we also talk about his girlfriend, his fiance, and his person on the side?
And his side dish.
Little side
What a turd.
And what did that have to do with pushing buttons?
He didn't want to talk to them.
I don't want
Not related.
All right.
Do
what
I
else?
want to hear from my girl? The side dish? I don't know. Do you?
All right. Couple more.
I know there's falling garbage on my floor. Oh, yeah. I drink a lot, and it turns out I'm naked in my kitchen. No, I have tortilla chips, so that's cool. I like tortilla chips. I eat them a lot. What did I drink tonight? I drank beers. I drank a lot of beers. There was a Sour Monkey to start, and then there was...
All right, I'm done with naked in my kitchen.
Okay. Last one.
What up, BN Army? This
Zach?
is Peter James from Indianapolis. I just got home, went to Indiana State Fair Brewers Cup. Great time. I got to meet Gordon Strong. That was amazing. Put 3 beers in, 2 beers, 1 braggot. I didn't place. That's all good. Had a great time. Represented the BN Army while I was there, baby. Left there. Actually went to Clearwater Brewing. Had some beers to celebrate with them. Came home. Now I'm drinking some homebrew IPA I brewed, which I hardly ever brew IPAs, but I got one. I'm drinking it. Having a good time.
All right. So, we talk about resting bitch face, and Scott has the worst of it. I have the second worst.
Bevo's pretty bad too, but I'm bad. Yeah.
She smiles enough. He has just
scowl.
He's talking. He's saying one thing about how excited he is and what a great day he had, but he's I just want you to know I had a really excellent time.
Fabulous beer.
Man, IPA was the best I ever had, I guess. He just sounds miserable.
He's a depressing drunk.
He's drunk. But he's happy. He's not depressed. He just doesn't know how to express
It's easily
happiness.
one of the best days of my life.
Yeah, I couldn't really be happy. I have a boner, even. I don't know if you can see it. Through
I'm
the phone.
orgasming right now.
Actually, I just
He must be
finished.
brewing the beer the first guy's drinking.
The first part of this phone call I finished. So, all right.
Lackluster showing, but here they are.
I like the JP is right guy and the BEE guy.
You didn't like you didn't care for the eating tortilla chips
I
naked in his
enjoyed naked in the kitchen?
That's funny. That's a
I
good
did like,
visual.
but he after that, then
Lost,
it was
yeah.
just.
He was. It's when they ride the bit too long. It's
Yeah.
like, come on, you're faking, right?
I liked his spirit.
Yeah. If I had to have a
His
spirit
naked
animal,
tortilla eating.
my spirit animal would be naked
in the kitchen
eating tortilla chips.
I don't know. We could, if you guys want to vote for Naked in the Kitchen. All right, we'll just go 1 through 4 here. First, we had Tour. Raise your hand if it's Tour, who was drinking 7% something or other.
Is that the guy on the bike?
Yeah.
So he called in last.
Yeah, he did.
time?
Yep. Yeah.
I liked him last time. I thought he deserved to win last time, so I'm going to vote for.
You vote for him this time?
I'm
That's
gonna vote
fine.
for him.
That's acceptable. The Academy does it. We can do it too.
2 surprise votes.
All right, so that's 2 votes for Tour.
I like Tour.
All right, and then there's the JP is right guy because all craft beer and all homebrew sucks, I believe, was the premise of his phone call.
Yep.
Yeah.
He just had too many feelings.
Yeah, a lot of feelings. 0 votes there. Okay, and finally we had BEE, who was angry about having to push buttons.
I like that
all
guy.
night.
He called in for some reason and then got completely sidetracked by so much else.
Yeah, by his girlfriend and his significant other and his lady friend.
Side dish.
And then his side dish. All right, well, that was an almost unanimous vote for BEE.
Yeah.
In the running for the new prize.
Yes.
Or no, that's the wrong game.
That's the wrong game.
You're not
No, he's in the
running.
running for virtually nothing. But you can send an email to Bevo at thebrewingnetwork.com, BEEVO, and she will send you a prize of some sort for winning our Drunk of the Week. All right. Hey, don't forget about our friends over at Adam and Eve. You can go to adamandeve.com right now and get a bunch of stuff, like 10 free things. You can get 50% off just about any one item, and then you get a free gift, and then you get 10 DVDs, and then you get free shipping, and you get a gift for him, and you get a gift for her, and you get a gift for you both. They give away a million things every time you order. If you just use coupon code BNARMY, BNARMY, don't go to that creepy store near you with the other creepy people that are like you. Stay at home. Order all of your things online from adamandeve.com. Use coupon code BNARMY.
That's right.
Twitter game today.
Yes. Let me tell you, the Twitter game was pretty good. There's been a few months here where the Twitter game's kind of sucked on wheels. But
So it took a Caribbean cruise to bring the good responses out of the woodwork.
I think so, or it can be. I actually just take more credit for my question. It was amazing, but it was probably the Caribbean cruise.
I'm guessing that.
Yeah. So what was my question, Justin? Do you remember?
What was the worst time you've had being drunk? I think is how you phrased it.
What was your worst night of drinking entail? What did that entail?
That.
Okay. And I read, Give Me Good Beer says tequila and Mountain Dew.
Yeah. That would be bad.
Pretty gross, right?
Yeah. I don't think my heart would make it through that.
I got to warn you, these are all pretty graphic. Okay?
Great.
More graphic than that?
Yes. Hairless Pink Idiot wrote, I peed on my dog, allegedly. I don't remember it, therefore it never really happened.
That's a bad night.
Pretty bad. S. Blankenship says, tequila plus rum plus Huckleberry Mead plus puking out the window on the freeway equals puke-filled car, sticky hair, and an angry husband.
Oh.
So, it's a chick.
And
tequila,
that
rum,
is gnarly.
Tequila, rum, mead, and puking out the window on the freeway, which clearly came back into the freeway, or into the car.
Got in the car.
Probably because her, let me guess, her rear window was down, and she puked out the side, and it came back in, which has happened to me
And her
before.
friend was sitting there.
Apparently her
That's
husband.
happened to you?
Yes.
Were you in the back seat or the front seat?
I was in the back seat.
And someone puked out the front?
Luckily, I was not in the seat. I wasn't occupying the seat that it came in, but I was in the back, and I'm like, whoa, dude, stop. Knock it off right now.
How recent was this?
Oh, this is my 20s.
Okay.
It was like a millennia ago.
Okay.
That's
Christian Smith says, Jim Beam and Big Red. Toilet stained pink. And my brother thought I was dead because it looked like blood.
Oh,
So apparently he threw up from drinking Jim Beam and eating Big Red.
Well, he's trying. His
that is.
breath probably sucked with all the Jim Beams.
Yeah. But can you imagine like walking in on your brother passed out with just red vomit?
Chunky red vomit.
I feel like that would be a worse night for his brother.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
His brother should win. Evolution Ale says, open bar wedding, bad dancing, mumbling, puke on dance floor.
Oh.
Next day, mud butt party.
Horrible.
We've all been to that party.
What's horrible is that we all know what he's talking about.
Everybody's attended that party.
On the dance floor at the wedding.
Well, that was the puke part, yes.
Oh, it's gross.
And then the next one was just a photo, and I'm trying to find it so I can show it to everybody here.
Oh, no.
You'll have to describe it for our listeners as well.
I will, yes. So this was sent by our very own Push Eject, and it's him getting his hop grenade tattoo on his leg at Downtown Joe's.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was he really drunk when he got that?
He was hammered. he was probably the drunkest I've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
Really? He's that drunk?
That's
he
awesome.
was super drunk. So, kudos to the tattoo guy for
Where
not
do I
noticing
go to
that.
get this tattoo tonight?
I recently was told some incredibly interesting information about that tattoo artist, but I'm afraid to dole it out.
That was Sergio Romo, wasn't it? That the
looks like the
short
guy
dude with the goatee. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really bad information.
Why are you looking at me? Why did you tell me this?
Because
you should go
have a tattoo by him, Push has a tattoo by him, Terrence has a tattoo by him, Sam has a tattoo by him,
Oh, God.
and several other people I think have a tattoo by him. And I was given some very...
Am I going to end up with AIDS?
He's
No.
HIV positive.
He's only used
No,
one needle
nothing
his
like that.
entire
Of course,
career.
I would have told you. But let's just say he is a very unsavory individual, and he's now in jail.
Huh. You don't say. A tattoo artist? That's it? Huh.
Oh, come on. That's a stereotype. Every tattoo artist belongs in jail?
No, they just usually end up there.
That's not true at all.
Can't just say that. I have to know.
They've got a captive clientele.
I think that you, of all people, don't want to know, Bevo.
Wow.
Oh, good. Let's leave it at that.
I already know what it is.
It's
Is he
bad.
a raper?
He's from the Church of Satan.
That might be on the list of things.
Oh my god!
Oh.
Wow.
I mean, already he should have been in jail for issuing out bad tattoos.
So it's okay. He put art on your body.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Justin is cringing right now because he's debating what to say and what not to say.
I don't mind telling it to our audience, frankly. I don't want Bevo to know.
Well, wait.
Why not? Can I just ask? I mean, is because she's going to be so offended that every time she realizes she has a tattoo by Creeper McCreeperson?
Well, before you tell us all, how long does he have? Because that could...
Oh, yeah. What's his sentence? What's his sentence? Yeah.
I don't know the sentence yet. It's bad enough that the way the story was told to me, that they're sort of letting him rot in the system right now before actually going to the sentencing process because everyone is like, fuck that guy.
Oh. Wow.
That bad.
He's got lots of time to plan.
It's pretty bad.
I mean, usually in our society today, we root for that guy. We want to rehabilitate him and whatever, but
there's no rooting.
Wait, you don't want to tell Bevo because she has a kid? Is that what
phone
it
is
has to do
ringing.
with?
Hold on a minute.
I just don't want anybody who has ink on their body from him to feel some sort of association to this man anymore, ever.
You've got rape ink on you.
Rink.
It's going to be a collect call from California Corrections Facility.
Hey, that's Sergio.
you guys are
So you're sort of right. They are letting me rot. But in my defense, she wanted it. It's bad news. The whole thing is bad. It's really bad.
Well, great.
Yeah. Sounds bad.
Let's just leave it there. Do I have a phone call that I have to take, Beef?
She's getting back on the phone with him. This is unprecedented.
All right, what else do you have, Jip?
Then the next one is from Gay Kyle, who also sent a photo. And he said, going for a drunk of the week, being hung up on, proceeding to light my hat, shoes, and clothes on fire in protest. So he sent a photo of fat Gay Kyle in front of a big bonfire.
Yeah, lighting himself up,
lighting his BN gear on fire there.
Okay.
Nick Tab says, middle of the night, pissed on my PC in front of my girlfriend, then fell asleep on the toilet and had to be helped off by my mother.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pissed on his computer in front of his girlfriend.
I've peed on random things.
Yeah. I have Jeremy from the Bellingham Beer Lab online one.
Okay.
Jeremy Reeves.
Jeremy.
Is it relevant to the topics at hand?
I'm fairly certain it is not.
Line 2 is ringing. That might be.
Jeremy, what's happening?
Nothing much. How you doing?
We're doing well. What can we do for you?
Oh, I'm on. I was hoping to talk to Rob and Tom and Ben from the Bellingham Beer Lab.
They're here.
Hey, Jeremy, what's going on?
Hey, nothing much.
So Jeremy was actually supposed to come down with us for this trip, but his boss fired half their staff, and he had to not come.
He didn't get fired, right?
No, he didn't get fired, but he had to.
He was one of the good ones.
He had to.
Yeah, I didn't get fired. I still have a job.
Jeremy, are you going to brew at the Bellingham Beer Lab?
I am going to brew the shit out of Bellingham Beer Lab.
Nice. That's exciting. Are you contributing to the Kickstarter campaign to make that happen?
I am definitely going to contribute to the Kickstarter campaign so that I may brew at the Bellingham Beer Lab.
Right. Good call.
Jeremy's one of our core members.
Oh, okay.
So he's one of the 4 operating members of the beer lab.
And our last beer competition, he actually came.
Oh
in
yeah,
first.
so that's a fun fact. Sorry to divert from.
That's okay.
The
puking and
all the
mud
great.
butt. Yeah, that's fine.
But the local public house throws a homebrewers cup every year. It's a really cool competition where local homebrewers enter, and it's not like a normal competition. It is BJCP sanctioned, but we tell them what to brew. So we pick the style. Everybody goes out and brews the same style. We pick the top half, advance that top half, give them a new beer, and it goes through till we have a final 4.
Oh, that's cool.
And we had 35 entries last year, and Jeremy was the champion.
And it lasts about 5 months?
It lasts about 5 months. And the grand prize was he got to brew a beer with us, and Tom made him a brand new Kegel kettle.
Oh, nice.
All polished and
out of
shiny.
shit you found at the junkyard.
Yep.
Yeah,
Nice.
It's the most polished shit you've ever seen.
It sounds like it. Cool. All right, Jeremy. Well, thanks for calling, man.
All right, thank you.
Cheers.
See you,
Take care.
Jeremy.
All right, what else we have?
David Starr. Franzia Pong, which is something entirely new. I've heard of beer pong. I've heard of tequila pong, but Franzia Pong.
Franzia wine.
Yes.
So I have to admit, I once got drunk, really drunk, on Franzia wine. I started with beer, and then we ran out of beer, and it was early.
Did you finish the bladder?
It was probably the worst hangover I've ever had. Yeah, I could not, I actually couldn't get up off the floor.
Ugh.
I felt just like a weight, like a dead weight. I couldn't get up off the floor.
If you reinflate those bladders, they make good pillows.
Oh, that might have helped.
Yeah.
But I think it was the Franzia itself. Oh, it was gnarly. Anyway, sorry.
That's okay. No, please.
So Franzia Pong, I can
Franzia
relate
Pong.
to this one.
Sensible Me says, using my belly to make a scrumptious sushi chum chowder, which I unfortunately left on the stoop for my mailman to find.
Okay.
So basically,
puked on the
picked up
stoop.
a bunch of sushi on the front porch.
Yeah.
And left it there long enough for his mailman to come.
Well, we sleep in the next
Pretty
day.
bad.
But sushi.
Yeah.
Brian Baumgart says 3 bottles of cheap wine, cans of whipped cream, and waking up in the dog's bed.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty nice.
Yeah.
You're right. That's kind of
worst things have happened.
That's your worst. Delightful. Yeah. Tony Rogers says puked out the passenger window while being talked to by the cops. Oops, window was up. Later that night, puked snow angels.
Oh. Wait, how do you do? Wait.
On the window?
I'm sure
puke on the ground,
and then you lay in it.
And then you lay in it, and then you make snow angels?
Apparently.
Oh,
Why?
God.
Maybe he was already on the ground and puked.
Maybe.
And then,
Jeez.
I'm here.
And then just started dancing or
I'm
whatever
here.
he thought he was
Right.
doing.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, you got to revel in it.
Wow.
Panther Hollow says, at a Dave Matthews Band concert, which he says mistake number 1,
Already worst night.
had to pee. Peed on annoying couple making out on blanket in front of me.
I like this one.
It sounds
That
pretty
is
good.
horrible.
South Union Brewing. This is the last one.
Did he get his... there's so many follow-up questions to this one.
I wanted to write him. I was like, yes.
You can't make a break for it out of a concert crowd.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. No, you can't.
Especially when Crash is going to come up next, right, guys? Okay. South Union Brewing says, watching my friend set his face on fire after forgetting to blow out his flaming shot. Then I puked on him shortly after this.
I've
put
done
the fire
that,
out?
actually. No, I've taken a shot without blowing out the fire. It's a dumb thing to do.
Yeah. That's it. So that's a pretty good one.
It's got to be the Dave Matthews guy, right? Like, he peed on a couple at a concert.
That was bad for the couple, though, not for him.
But it's a bad, still like a,
But it's
you're drunk.
Very clearly.
You're drunk.
Yeah. So
Had that read, I got his shit kicked out of me afterwards.
Yeah, then yes,
Then I'd vote.
no question.
But this is why I feel like if we make him our winner, we can have him on next week and interview him
I
about
was just going to say that. Like, we should
I think
call
we
some of
still
these
can
people back and, like,
anyway.
ask, because there's some questions that need to be addressed.
Or maybe he just wanted to get kicked out of the Dave Matthews concert. And so he just peed on this guy.
just left.
So security would pull him out.
Right. Since there is a grand prize at stake here, you get entered to win a trip to the Labruski cruise with us. Then we'll do a little voting. I would like to submit the Dave Matthews guy in the voting. I like the.
I like the I peed on my dog because I mean that's fucked up. You got to be drunk to pee on your dog.
All right, you can submit dog pee.
There was one like halfway through where everyone left.
Mud butt.
The window puke. Where it went out one window.
That was a good one.
I liked that one.
And
Also.
mud butt guy, yeah.
And mud butt.
Okay.
I really liked the where the guy pissed on his computer and then had to be helped off the toilet by his mom.
Yeah,
like that's
awful.
That's demoralizing, dude.
Yeah, you don't wake up feeling good about that.
Neither does his mom. Like, this is my kid.
Not at all.
Oh, and then
What have
where's
I
his
done?
girlfriend? His girlfriend was there somewhere. What's going on?
All right, so I've got four
She's not
then.
around
If it were
anymore.
Sam, I would have
she's
checked
no
out
longer
and
his
left
lady
him there,
friend,
too.
that's why the mom had to help him off the toilet.
What do
So
you
I've got here's the 4 I have. So
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, or we
Yeah.
need to add any. I've got mom toilet.
Mom toilet.
I've got mud butt.
Mud butt. Yes.
I've got dog pee.
Dog pee.
And I've got Dave Matthews pee.
I also,
Couple.
if I could add one more, possibly, is the one where the chick drank tequila and rum and mead and threw up out the window, and it came into the car.
Right.
And,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Because that's funny.
What about the guy with the fiancée girlfriend in Side Project?
That was a
drug of the week phone call.
Well, TC just woke up.
Totally
So-
different.
Welcome back from Facebook.
Casey's been thinking about that since he heard it.
What I was thinking is I want to be that guy's wingman. I mean, stuff that hits the curb probably is worthwhile.
Right.
Tell me about the side dish.
I mean, stuff that hits the curb. I love it, Tasty.
I don't want to say I'm hungry, but I could eat.
All right.
Let me help you up there.
Raise your hand if you'd like to vote for mom toilet.
I kind of like it best.
All right, JP's voting for mom toilet.
Yeah.
That's one vote.
JP is right.
Raise your hand if
See?
it's mud butt.
Where he puked
All right,
on the dance floor.
We got a vote.
Yeah,
from
that's what it was. Yeah, puking on the dance floor at a wedding.
Yeah, that's
Open bar wedding.
Yeah,
Bad
two
news.
there.
For that one, was
too.
that on the list that
Yeah.
we're voting on? Yeah, I'll vote
He
for
was
that.
that guy.
Okay, there we go. Three
Open
for
bar.
Mud.
Who invited that guy?
Yeah, all right. Mudbutt's got a chance. Dog pee. Guy who peed on his own dog.
That's so good.
It is good. No votes there. Window puke. So the chick who puked out the window and then it went in the other and then it got in her hair. And
That's just so unfortunate.
Tequila, rum, and mead.
Oh, that was a
Come
nasty
on.
He
puke.
felt horrible the next day.
all right, and then peed on a couple at Dave Matthews. That's wow. By 2 votes, that's a 5-voter there. Dave Matthews is our winner this week. And
The first time those words have ever been said.
and in the running for the Labruski cruise as well to go party with us in March. We'll give you more details on that. But you do need to send an email to bevo@thebrewingnetwork.com, please. What is the Twitter name of Dave Matthews? Or you can get it to Bevo, right, JP?
You guys have to have him on.
Why don't you make sure you do that?
We
and
gotta
then
find out what happened.
Yeah, and then Bevo, let's
I can
coordinate with
arrange
Moscow and get this guy on. I got to know what happened.
Can we go back to the tattoo artist?
You don't want to.
I want
We
to.
do.
If you know what, if you're not offended by the listeners knowing,
I can't do it.
You got to pay it off. Come on.
No.
look, you guys give me his name and I'll Google it.
Sergio Roma.
Yeah, we don't know his name, and I think I brought it up because I do that.
Just tell me.
I think that there's a lot of people involved that don't need to, like, there's a lot of you with this person's ink, and it's probably just better that you enjoy your tattoo and
Well,
never.
now it's
never
oh,
know.
no, that is
Yeah,
not an option.
knowing that there's a story that they cannot know makes them enjoy that tattoo so much more.
Right.
It's less tainted than it will be if I tell you.
Oh, well, that just
They
makes
can
it
stop
worse.
listening right now. For them, the show's over right now.
No, I can't do it. We're gonna no.
I'm gonna get you to tell me. You'll tell me or Sam, and then Sam will tell me because I'll make him.
I don't even know if I'll tell Sam.
Wow.
He's got the tattoo also, and it's not good. It's not a nice thing. It's not good. Doesn't surprise me. Being a brewing network, we tend to screw things up like that.
Hired the wrong guy again.
But so yeah, no. All right, and that is our show today. Thank you to Will and Mari Kemper for coming down from Chuckanut Brewery. Thank you to Menace Brewing and Public House and the Bellingham Brew Lab folks for coming down.
Thanks for having us. I'd like to do 2 plugs real quick.
Sure.
We have to say happy birthday to our friend Eric Jorgensen.
Okay.
Who's a great brewer in the community in Whatcom County. North Fork Brewery. If you're ever up our way, go check it out. He does some amazing sours.
Is he your man friend?
He's my man friend.
Excellent.
Yeah, he would corroborate that.
Yeah.
And also to Nico Brew because I don't know if you guys know this, but our brewery is in the same business park as their hops warehouse.
Oh, really?
And so I walk over there and buy my hops.
That's rad.
So shout out to them.
Nico's a badass. I'm glad you did that. NicoBrew.com, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so next week we got an interesting show for you. We're talking to Gladfield Malt out of New Zealand. We started talking about specialty malt here tonight with Chuckanut and how things might be changing. Well, Gladfield Malt has a unique process and kind of a family-run thing going on over there, too. So we're going to be speaking to them next week, right?
Yes, sir.
That's what we have going on. All right, lots of other things, too. Don't forget to come see us out at the Mammoth Brew Fest and this weekend at the Pleasant Hill Blues and Brews as well. You ready, Jip?
Yeah, I'm just reading up on trying to find the tattoo artist.
So am I.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Thank you to our show sponsor, More Beer. You can absolutely everything you need to make great beer at home by going to morebeer.com. We were stoked to have Mary and Will back on the air from Chuckanut with some amazing beers, and the fellows from Menace Brewing, both from Bellingham, Washington. If you just can't get enough of JP, which, let's face it, who can't, check out his non-beer, Disneyland-centric podcast, Ears Up. Learn a thing or two over at earsuppodcast.com. And remember, that's ears with a Z, because why not? Warren. For some good beer insight and homebrew info, follow Nate Smith and Nathan Homebrew and Mike McDowell at Tasty McD. That's on Twitter, by the way. Production director on the session has been Push Eject. Today's show has been produced by Scott Moskowitz. JP was right, apparently. Bevo consumed over 20,000 calories today, again. And your host was Justin Crossley. Be sure to find the Brewery Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.